Pasok ba ako? So good morning, everyone, and good evening from the Philippines. So so welcome to the second day of the PAASE conference. So my name is Lorna De Leos. I'm from Agilent Technologies. I'm the Global Food Segment Manager there. And I came from Ateneo and I worked with Dr. Giselle Concepcion and Louis Cruz for my master's thesis and also with Carlito Librilla from UC Davis. Yes? Go ahead. Wait lang.
This presentation need to confirm this.
Hold on. Hold on lang tayo. So I hope everyone had a good breakfast and a good sleep then. Yes? Yes? Okay.
Still good up, so.
Yes. Hold on lang tayo.
Got it. Who needs to press that?
Just got it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to select the window at one select.
The screen is to the right.
Ah, I see.
Ayun. Yes. Okay na tayo.
Yes.
Okay, ulit. Good morning ulit. But we're good. So we have an exciting program for today, starting with the Keynote Lecture, followed by the Severino and Paz Koh Lecture, and then a panel presentation on chemistry and biochemistry. And then in the afternoon, we'll start with a talk on the National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences, then a plenary panel on allergic, infectious, and autoimmune diseases. And then the day will end with a plenary panel on engineering and technology applications. So, as Mario said yesterday, PAASE scientists are like born/bond characters with a mission. So today, our first born/bond character is Dr. Tirso Ronquillo, president of Batangas State University. And his mission, and he will talk about it, is on innovations in engineering education, the case of Batangas State University, the Philippines' National Engineering University. So a few words about Dr. Ronquillo. So Dr. Tirso A. Ronquillo is an academic leader and manager, an established researcher, an innovator, an advocate of disaster risk management, an ASEAN engineer, and a full-fledged professor. Armed with a master's degree in electronics engineering and doctorate degree in management, Dr. Ronquillo was appointed president of Batangas State University in July 2014 and was unanimously reappointed for a second term in 2018. As a university administrator, Dr. Ronquillo rose from the ranks, holding various administrative positions prior to his appointment as president. Dean of the College of Engineering, Architecture, and Fine Arts, Executive Director of Bat State U, Alangilan Campus, Vice President for Academic Affairs, and Vice President for Research, Development, and Extension. He pioneered outcomes-based education in the university and spearheaded international accreditation of engineering programs under the terms of Washington Accord. Batangas State University is the only university in the country whose engineering and information technology programs are accredited by the U.S. Accrediting Board for Engineering and Technology, or ABET, Engineering Accreditation Commission, or EAC, and Computing Accreditation Commission, or CAC, respectively. He also initiated the revision of the curriculum to adopt technopreneurship and calculus-based physics and facilitated the modernization of laboratories and laboratory equipment, as well as library infrastructure and library automation. President Ronquillo is currently the chairman of the Philippine Association of State Colleges and Universities, or PASOK, and was recently appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines as a member of the Executive Committee of the National Innovation Council. All right, Dr. Ronquillo, take it away.
PAASE President Dr. Mariano Santo Domingo, esteemed colleagues in PAASE, participants, great morning. How are you? First, on behalf of Batangas State University and the Philippine Association of State Universities and Colleges, allow me to thank PAASE for giving us this opportunity to share our experiences at Batangas State University. And secondly, I would like to congratulate our PAASE for its 43 years of meaningful existence and for sustainably having this annual PAASE meetings and symposium. I can still recall my first attendance in PAASE in the US was in 2008 when it was held in Georgetown University, Washington, D.C. It was my first, no? And this is my second to attend PAASE in the US. But I attend at times in the Philippines when we had our PAASE meeting in our country. This time, I would like to share the innovations in Batangas State University in engineering. The higher educations, or I would like to give you the outline of my talk. I will just give some introduction and then I will proceed to re-engineering, the engineering curriculum, and then the diversity in engineering education, and I will present our innovation at Batangas State University in engineering education. Then I will present engineering research and innovation, and then our global presence. And then I will present innovation in leadership and management, and then the new mandate of Batangas State University as per Republic Act 11694. And finally, the National Engineering Education Program, or the NEED program, as approved by our Board of Regents just recently in connection with our new mandate. To introduce the engineering education landscape in the Philippines, the higher education sector in the Philippines is relatively large, having experienced a significant expansion over the past 10 years. Concurrently, it consists of more than 2,000 higher education institutions, both public and private, with a combined enrollment of 4.2 million during academic year 2022-2023. Although the majority of HEIs are private, around 1,700. The enrollment share of 49.69% is slightly lower than public HEIs, share of 50.31%. Nearly 585,000 or 14% only are enrolled in the engineering programs, which is further reduced prior to completion by higher attrition and dropout rates. It is a distant third to business administration with an enrollment share of 26%, followed by education, science, and teacher training with 19%. These percentages indicate that the engineering programs are not well subscribed in the Philippines. It also suggests that efforts to expand the reach of engineering education and attract better prepared students needed to increase the number of engineering professionals and practitioners in the Philippines have not succeeded. There is a supply and demand gap in the engineering fields throughout all sections of the industry. A recent study by PIDS conducted by Albert in 2021 shows that the Philippine economy will be facing an undersupply of STEM trained workers and a shortage of more than 500,000 qualified engineers in 2025. The annual graduates are not increasing proportionately to the estimated shortage. The 2022 Global Innovation Index country-specific report noted that the number of graduates in science and engineering in the Philippines has gone down by 4 percentage points between 2019 and 2020. Given the situation, there have been several innovations in engineering education in the Philippines aimed at improving the percentage share in enrollment, the quality and relevance of engineering programs, and preparing graduates for the demands of today's workforce and of digital diverse, global, and rapidly changing society. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., in his first State of the Nation address in July 2022, has pledged to improve Filipino students' performance in STEM under his watch and committed to making STEM an instrument of progress and prosperity. I think this July 2024, the President will be delivering his second SONA. Over the years, nonetheless, policy interventions and innovations in engineering education have seemingly not resulted in systemic change. As Batangas State University was steadily rising to national prominence in recent years, given its remarkable achievements in engineering education, it has realized that its instances of success, as well as few HEIs in some engineering programs and few scattered innovations, are no longer a viable response to these challenges in the Philippine engineering education landscape. In the Philippines and elsewhere maybe, beyond the concerns in undergraduate engineering is the interplay of the engineering profession, the practice of engineering, and engineering education as a system. A strong engineering university supported by the Philippine government must take the lead. Driven by such challenges and the desire to make more meaningful contributions to national development, Batangas State University confidently and strategically sought a legislative mandate to take a leadership role in the systemic change, reforms, and transformation of engineering education in the Philippines. On April 11, 2022, the university was declared as the Philippines National Engineering University by virtue of Republic Act 11694. With that distinction, of course, is the greater national obligation to fulfill in shaping the future of engineering education in the country. Batangas State University has an enduring history of providing quality, relevant, and accessible education as well as training to the Filipino youth since its humble beginnings as a manual training school in 1903 or some 120 years ago. This year, we are celebrating 120 years founding anniversary of the university. And we kick it off last April 11 during the first year anniversary of Batangas State as the National Engineering University. It is a whole year-round celebration until December 31. And I will explore if we can join PASE in one of the celebrations until December 31 this year. It was elevated into a state university in 2001. Its particular strength in engineering since its initial offering of civil engineering in 1971, some 52 years ago, is strategically positioned the university to national prominence and recognition. Guided by its service dictum, learn and leading innovations, transforming lives, building the nation, it further expands its already robust 46 engineering degree programs, both graduate and undergraduate, to include an even wider range of specialization at both the graduate and undergraduate levels, while strengthening research, community engagement, and resource generation. Distinctively, the university has the most number of engineering programs being offered among HEIs in the Philippines. 23 of its 46 engineering programs are new and emerging and are designed to respond to the imperatives of Industry 4.0 and the call for social and economic transformation. Batangas State University enrolled more than 60,000 students from over 50 provinces in the Philippines and as far as Visayas and Mindanao. 43% of students, which is the highest so far, belong to engineering and technology programs. This makes the university the leading provider of engineering education and the top producer of engineers and professionals in the Philippines. The university's 11 campuses are also home to foreign students from Nigeria, Thailand, Papua New Guinea, Iran, Angola, China, Rwanda, and Democratic Republic of Congo. Efforts are made to attract more foreign students to come and study at the university. With its legislative mandate as the National Engineering University, Batangas State University has become more deliberate in its approach, which will be shown later, to providing innovations and bringing forward the much-needed change in engineering education in the Philippines. The university takes a proactive role in further expanding the reach of engineering programs to broader geographical areas and sectors of the Philippine society. It also aims that the Filipino engineers we produce are at par with their global counterparts and are well-rounded human beings mindful of their crucial role in the knowledge-based global economy and nation building. We are committed to doing much more for the Philippines to secure and maintain a global recognition of engineering education in the country. On the second part on re-engineering the engineering curriculum, the University's College of Engineering intensified re-engineering the engineering curriculum in 2014 when it started submitting its engineering programs for accreditation by the United States Accrediting Board for Engineering and Technology, shortly AVET. Batangas State University is the first and thus far the only state university in the Philippines with 10 engineering and computing science and IT programs are ABET accredited, a distinctive mark of quality and excellence. From a traditionally structured engineering curriculum, the re-engineering resulted in the adoption of more innovative approaches to contents, methods, practices, and means of delivery. To enhance the alignment of engineering curricula with industry needs, the Industry Advisory Committee was created per engineering program. The members of the industry join in the discussion and analysis of the curricula's alignment and effectiveness in the context of industries and modern workplaces. Similarly, the university is increasingly promoting collaborative and interdisciplinary learning by integrating courses from different disciplines and involving students in team-based capstone projects. We would like to educate and train Filipino engineers to join forces with biologists, chemists, metrologists, economists, planners, political scientists even, and community leaders to lead the Philippine society on a sustainable economic path. The design course, through structurally taught still in the capstone design courses during the final year of the students, is also taught throughout the curriculum by giving some basic instruction, exposing them to design challenges during preliminary years. The project-based learning is also incorporated recently into the curriculum. Project-based learning involves students working on real-world problems and projects, and this approach helps students develop problem-solving skills, critical thinking, and teamwork, while also providing them with practical experience that prepares them for the workplace. To better contextualize the curriculum, the university has adopted the outcomes-based education approach to curriculum design and assessment. With OBE, the university focuses on aligning the curriculum, teaching methods, and assessment strategies to achieve well-defined expected learning outcomes of programs. It also shifted the focus on determining teaching effectiveness from what has been taught to the assessment of what students have learned and remediation of shortfalls in targeted learning outcomes. On the diversity in engineering education. At Batangas State University, engineering education is quite successful in attracting and retaining a diverse student body with a good combination of students coming from diverse socioeconomic, political, ethnic, cultural, and religious background. Before the declaration of Batangas State as the National Engineering University, we got our students from over 50 provinces in the entire country. And with this new declaration, more students are influxing to Batangas State University. Thus, to share with you, only for freshman applicants, we now got over 30,000 students for freshman applicant. And we absorbed or admitted less than half of them. Diversity in engineering programs and areas of study is ensured by the university responsiveness to the rapidly changing demands of the industry and the global practice of engineering. The university offers industry-driven and emerging graduate and undergraduate programs with curricula that will develop the engineers of the 21st century. This includes aerospace engineering, geological engineering, genetic engineering, biomedical engineering, naval architecture and marine engineering, ceramics engineering, transportation engineering, metallurgical engineering, materials engineering, earthquake engineering, energy engineering, engineering management, engineering education, and highly specialized fields in artificial intelligence, advanced manufacturing, and construction management, among others. Needless to state, every economic activity has the roles of engineering and technology. The challenges facing the Philippines and the world in energy, water, infrastructure, environment, security, manufacturing, climate change, and food and hunger, among others, are engineering challenges. The university is doing its best to build a robust engineering education system and community, but needs support from both public and private sectors. On innovation in engineering education, the university established its Center for Innovation in Engineering Education. As our engineering programs and even applicants are growing, we see it is strategic to establish an arm which will support the teaching and learning of its current engineering or college of engineering. That is the board approved CIEE or Center for Innovation in Engineering Education. It is the arm of the university in making significant contribution to propelling major innovations and transformation in engineering education and research in the Philippines. Through the CIE, the university is in the process of evaluating the current state of engineering education in the Philippines, identifying challenges and areas for change, to develop and implement a comprehensive developmental framework to address these issues. It will propose new standards and goals in engineering education and spearhead research, partnerships, linkages, global engagement, and sustainable resource generation and mobilization. As approved by the University's Board of Regents, the CIE takes the lead in the development and implementation of the National Engineering Education Development Program. Second, the development and implementation of micro-credential programs in science, technology, and engineering. Third, establishment of the Engineering Knowledge Management Unit, an open portal for data insights and analytics on Philippine and global engineering education. And lastly, the development of a program for visiting foreign engineering teaching and research fellows. The university likewise adopts the Conceive, Design, Implement, Operate or CDIO framework as the framework for curricular planning and outcomes-based assessment. CDIO initiative is a collaborative framework among leading engineering schools globally that aims to address the growing gap between engineering education and industry demand. It is centered around the concept that engineering graduates should possess the ability to conceive, design, implement, and operate complex engineering systems within a team-based environment. A number of our faculty members are certified CDIO initiative collaborators who promote reform in teaching and learning and focus on hands-on active learning. Last November 2022, the Worldwide CDIO Council officially declared Batangas State University as a CDIO collaborator. At present, Batangas State University is one of the 52 in Asia, joining a global community of 183 universities, adopting that CDIO framework. On research and development. The university's research initiatives are designed to promote the advancement of knowledge in the areas of engineering and technology, as well as the other disciplinary domains. The value placed on multidisciplinary collaborations advances even further are in the activities of the university. The university continues to register and accumulate number of completed research, publication, presentation, and intellectual property. The landscape of the university research and innovation has further evolved as it focuses on the commercialization of research, supporting startups and spin-offs, and development of platform to cater to much broader clients, including exporting enterprises through the established special economic zone. Driven to develop a competitive advantage through improved research capability and a strong research culture, the university conceptualized and established a research platform called STEER Hub, STEER, or Science, Technology, Engineering, and Environment Research Hub. Various research centers were established to support niche areas and sectors and to respond to the problems of the community and the industry through active research collaboration under the STEER Hub. Currently, there are 6 research centers all located in the hub, namely the Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation, or CTI, Digital Transformation Center, Electronic Systems Research Center, GIS Applications Development Center, Manufacturing Research Centers, and Material Testing and Calibration Center, among others. Other research centers also supportive of the mandates of STEER Hub are located in various locations such as the Analytical Research Center, Food Innovation Center, and the Social Innovation Research Center. In the next 5 years, other niche areas or research centers will be established to support the university's mandate of intensifying scientific, innovative, and technological research and development that would lead to high-impact research products and services, startups, and spin-offs. The challenge for the university is to seek greater funding support, the STEER hubs, and various centers to become fully operationalized. STEER Hub was endorsed by the Regional Development Council as Calabarzon Center for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Environment Research Center. The hub was officially opened last 2020. And as we start the center to be a dynamic research platform, maybe soon I would like to invite our PAASE colleagues to visit Batangas State and explore some opportunities on how we can work together to make the research more dynamic in those research centers. In terms of its pathways towards commercialization of IP assets, the university spearheads innovative programs and policies to support its faculty, personnel, and students. In 2014, the university launched its technology business incubator called the Center for Technopreneurship and Innovation, which is also under the STEER Hub. From 2014 to 2022, the CTI was able to graduate 96 incubatees, trained more than 11,000 students in technopreneurship courses, and more than 200 faculty members using Bus-Station method of technopreneurship. Managed 7 innovation programs with an investment amounting to more than 35 million in partnership with government and private agencies, and also registered 5 startups. Among its notable research output that benefit the society and the industry include the solar isotropic generator of acoustic wave, which is a customized early warning system deployed in the province of Batangas, Quezon, Cavite, and Tarlac. It is envisioned to be deployed nationwide to provide early warning during times of disaster. The university is also the developer of the so-called Tactical Operative Amphibious Drive, or TOAD, as an acronym, which is an amphibious vehicle for disaster response. The university, through the Department of Science and Technology, Calabarzon, recently completed the licensing of TOAD, or that amphibious vehicle, after the rigorous screening of the Fairness Opinion Board. The technology is the first licensing authority of the university with automatic motors, our partner industry. To continue, on May 22, 2020, President Rodrigo Duterte signed Presidential Proclamation number 947, designating the Batangas State University Knowledge, Innovation, and Science Technology Park, or shortly KISS Park, as a special economic zone. It is envisioned as a premier seedbed and enclave for technological innovation in the country. It will nurture and inspire the growth of new high-tech firms, facilitate the transfer of university know-how to locator companies, encourage the development of faculty or student-based spin-offs, and stimulate the development of innovative products and processes. The KISS Park structures and platforms mirror the seamless partnership between academe, industry, government, and local communities in producing technological innovation. PESA-registered enterprises at the KISS Park will tremendously benefit from the high-value intellectual capital and physical resources of the university. The KISS Park development is expected to be completed by 2027 and be fully operationalized thereafter. We started developing the KISS Park since 2018, and as we develop, we have a transition facility located in our Stir Hub in partnership with the Philippine Economic Zones Authority, which established inside the Stir Hub the Special Economic Zone Institute. As an affirmation of its national significance, the Batangas State University KISS Park was considered in the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 as one of the major platforms for the seamless continuum of R&D and knowledge creation as well as commercialization of technology and innovation products. We also established the BIP Corals, or the Verde Island Passage Center for Oceanographic Research and Aquatic Life Sciences, which serves as the Marine Research Center of the university, as mandated in our new law. Even the new charter of Batangas State University mandates us to spearhead research on marine biodiversity in the Verde Island Passage. We are doing this research collaboratively with the UPMSI of Professor Giselle. We have our faculty or our researchers at times having joint exploration in BIP. The center focuses on the conduct of research on different marine ecosystem in the BIP or Verde Island Passage, collaboration with various stakeholders, government institutions, and non-government organizations in the promotion of research-based intervention in protecting and preserving the marine environment and provision of technical assistance on the management of marine protected areas. One of the key components to continue our programs on innovation. One of the key components in advancing the research and innovation ecosystem in the university is the establishment of enabling policies and an environment conducive to producing research. In this sense, the President's Medal of Innovation Award is established. It was approved by our board just recently. It is the most prestigious innovation award by the university, which aims to honor students and personnel for developing innovative solutions in the form of products or services that can potentially contribute to the country's national development. To promote cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary research collaboration, the university prioritizes future-thinking research proposals that are cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary and address the Philippine Development Plan 2023-2028 and the Sustainable Development Goals. To attract students to do research, the Young Leadership and Innovation for Future Thinkers, or Young Leaders program, is conceived. It is a program to support top-performing students through capacity building and training on leadership, innovations, and future thinking, including the provision of financial grants. To operationalize this program, we are selecting the top 5 of its programs, and they will be given research direction by the university that will be doing research collaboratively. So that was approved during our first quarter board meeting, and it will be implemented starting this coming semester. So we are now getting the grades of our students in engineering and technology and get the top 5 for every section, for every program, and direct them to do research. And they will be given funding by the university based on the research trust of our university. To continue, the Building Research and Innovation Development Goals for Engineering HUC, or the BRIDGES program, as an acronym, is part of the university's strategies to attain sustainability. With more than 100 state universities and colleges and 2,000 HEIs distributed all over the Philippines, the university seeks to partner with selected engineering HEIs to conduct relevant research that reaches greater area. Through the BRIDGES program, the university advocates training of faculty members of other HEIs in conducting university-led research. The pilot implementation of the University of the BRIDGES program in 2020 to 2022 has resulted in the completion of 6 projects in partnerships with 39 state universities and colleges. More research projects shall be spearheaded, including private HEIs, in the coming years. To continue, another program that we have is the so-called Action Center. Action Center is an acronym. Action, it's adaptive capacity building and technology innovation for occupational health and natural disaster. It provides an avenue for the professional development of disaster risk reduction management managers and practitioners by offering academic programs in DRM and through the other programs contributes to ensuring a resilient community. The Action Center serves as a DRM research and education hub that supports and complement the government efforts, both local and national, on disaster risk reduction and management. To continue on global presence, the university's global presence is growing and its impact is recognized by many. It has established 62 international partnerships with universities and other reputable institutions and 45 memberships in international professional organizations that focus on the integration of science, technology, engineering, and educational pedagogies and systems. Far from what other foreign universities have accomplished, the university takes pride in having secured the 601 to 800 spot among 1,591 universities from 112 countries or regions in the impact ranking of the Times Higher Education, released last June 1, 2023. Batangas State University emerged as the fourth highest ranked university among universities in the Philippines by the THE Impact Ranking. The university was also ranked 351st among most sustainable university in the world by the UI Green Metric World University Ranking in 2022. And we are happy to share that Batangas State University was recently included in the top 100 global innovative universities by the so-called WURI ranking, that is World University Ranking on Innovation. In March 2022, just last year, the all-girls team of Batangas State University chemical engineering students called WonderPets. WonderPets is an acronym. Water remediation using metal organic framework derived from PET bottles were hailed as champion in the first ever UNESCO Engineering Hackathon during the World Engineering Day. That the team outperformed 124 teams from 23 countries. So it was just held last year. That is the inaugural launching of the World Engineering Day UNESCO Hackathon. And we are proud that these three girls were held as champion, the WonderPets team. In November 2022, also last year, December, a team of BS Electronics Engineering was declared as champions in the Engineering Innovation Challenge EIC 2022 held in Singapore for their innovation project entry, the AI Aquaponics 360. You may not believe, but second to us is National University of Singapore and third, Nanyang Technological University. The university takes pride of its 29 ASEAN engineers in the faculty roster awarded by the ASEAN Federation of Engineering Organizations. It is the highest number of ASEAN engineers among higher education institutions in the country. They are allowed and privileged to practice their professions outside of their own, outside our home country, and carry with the team or with them an ASEAN approved and recognized professional qualification, which makes them globally competitive to the utmost benefit of our students and the whole academic community. You might ask, what about some innovations on management? We may not be able to reach this far if in management and in administration we did not innovate. In anticipation of its new mandate as the National Engineering University and to effectively implement the campus niching program, the university has introduced revised organizational structure management processes and procedures, or ROS-MP. It is characterized by innovation and improvement to current methods, approaches, and strategies, and both radical and long-term changes aim to empower and strengthen its constituent campuses. As introduced, we have 11 campuses. And in 2020, we restructured our 11 campuses and designate 5 of them as constituent campuses. Before, everything is approved by the president. Even procurement of 1,000 peso, they are hunting the president for the signature. And even hiring of job orders, salary grade 1 until salary grade 10, they are hunting the president. So, what we did, we empowered campuses. They are now headed by chancellors, and each chancellor can enter into a contract of 10 million peso so that the president can attend to higher order engagement. Imagine before, if the president was out for 3 days to attend any official business, when he come back, then he has pile of document to sign. Documents which refers to some implemented programs already. I laugh at myself because I usually sign travel orders of people or personnel who already came back from their travel. So to me, it's horrendous really. So that's why we decided to restructure our campus, to strengthen them, and made our people responsible and accountable. Before, we don't believe that we will be able to implement it because imagine you will be duplicating this org setup in 5 campuses. So before, it is one centralized organizational structure. So you need to multiply it by 5. And we implemented it by shadowing. The set of organizational officers in each campus had their training in the central administration just to implement this. So we're successful. We are now implementing it on almost 3 years. So we design really to empower our campuses and even niche our programs. We even identify the strength and offerings of programs in each campus because we need not to duplicate our resources, our investment, so that we can maximize the output with our limited resources. In 3 years, I can say we're successful. And it is getting more successful year after year as we perfect the implementation of this so-called ROS-MP. Concurrent with ROS-MP is the campus niching program, as I mentioned. With the university operation remains fully subsidized and funded by the national government by virtue of the pre-higher education law in the Philippines, its new status is expected to provide greater opportunities for a more sustainable generation and mobilization of resources through external funding grants, donation, and endowments, and to attract additional funding support from the national government. Leveraging its pioneering and distinctive status as the National Engineering University and mindful of its greater mandate, other financing and funding scheme for its academic research and extension programs are being strategically explored. As the environment in which the university operates is increasingly becoming competitive, coupled with inadequate financial and human resources, tactical resource generation has become a more challenging task, demanding a mix of strategic initiatives, transformative leadership, and sound management. The university needs to ensure institutional, financial, and programmatic sustainability. Parallel to the university's pursuit of financial sustainability is its strong commitment to the Sustainable Development Goals. The university has established the Center for Sustainable Development and formulated the sustainability policy, which underpins the SDGs' environmental, social, and economic dimensions. On reflection, innovation in leadership and management is just as crucial as innovation in engineering education as a whole. At the end of the day, leaders and managers need to continue learning new things long after their formal education ends, as engineering education needs to evolve, and so do leadership and management. This has never been more true than today, when we can see an accelerated pace of innovation in almost all aspects of our existence. What now is the mandate of Batangas State University under Republic Act 11694? As the National University, Committed to the development of leaders in the global knowledge economy, Batangas State University shall, this is specifically provided for in our new mandate. We are mandated by the state to lead in the generation of productive knowledge, innovation, and technology to develop relevant and technical higher order skills needed to compete in the global knowledge economy. Second, to provide progressive leadership in setting academic standards and initiating innovations in advanced instruction, research, professional training in the fields of engineering education, and maintain center of excellence in such disciplines and professions. Strengthen engineering programs of the country through the development and offering of industry-driven and emerging engineering programs, spearhead collaboration between the academe and engineering industries, and lead in the implementation of innovative pedagogies in engineering education through the Center for Innovation in Engineering Education. Even our created office, Center for Innovation in Engineering Education, is specifically cited in the law. Make an important contribution to the economy by producing adequate and well-trained engineers and other professionals who can provide solutions to the country's challenges in energy, infrastructure, environment, information and telecommunication, construction, production, transportation, and other facilities for living, among others. Serve as a graduate university by providing advanced studies and specialization for engineers, scientists, entrepreneurs, industry practitioners, and other professionals, primarily for those who serve as faculty of state universities and private colleges in the country. Serve as a research university in engineering and related field of specialization by conducting basic and applied research and development, promoting research in various colleges and universities in the country, and contributing to the dissemination and application of knowledge. Contribute to national economic growth, jobs creation, domestic and foreign investment, and community well-being through the university-based Knowledge, Innovation, and Science Technology Park, designated as Special Economic Zone by virtue of Presidential Proclamation 947, dated 2022, May 2020. Lead in the protection, conservation, and strategic management of Verde Island Passage, described as the center of marine shore-based biodiversity in the world, by developing biodiversity experts, conducting collaborative research, marine exploration, community education and training, and establishment of the BIP corals. Next, intensify scientific, innovative, and technological research and development that would lead in the development of high-impact research, startups, spin-offs, and technology transfer of products and services in specific areas, such as electronic systems, environment, information, and computing technology, material science and testing, and advanced manufacturing through the established center under the STEER Hub. Provide an avenue for professional advancement of DRM managers and practitioners by offering academic programs in DRM and contribute to ensuring a resilient community through its action center. And offer undergraduate and graduate courses within the areas of specialization and according to its capabilities, including, among others, medical and allied health, natural and applied sciences, teacher education, business, technology, management, social sciences, arts and culture, agriculture, and other related fields, as the Board of Regents may deem necessary to carry out its objectives. You might ask, or you might wonder, why these disciplines? Why we are a national engineering university? You know, during the passage of the bill, there was a discussion whether the university should stop operating these programs and only pursue engineering programs. But of course, the lawmakers, other stakeholders are not amenable to that. We cannot simply close because that's a social suicide. if you stop all programs, they are there for more than 50 years, some of them. So the bargain, quote unquote, you may continue these existing programs, but you can no longer offer new programs not allied to engineering and technology. And you should provide 50% of your enrollment positions or slots for engineering and technology. So I think it's not bad to serve the purpose that as a National University for Engineering, you should provide for 50% of your enrollment for engineering and technology. While you maintain the existing programs, you can no longer offer new programs not allied to engineering and technology. So now our challenge is how to integrate engineering, science, and technology in other programs. Okay. Strengthen its laboratory school and integrated schools for basic education by focusing and adapting advanced teaching and learning on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics to serve as feeder schools for engineering, science, and technology programs of the university, provided that the operation of the integrated school shall be self-liquidating through payment of tuition fees and other school fees by the students as approved by the government board. We are also offering basic education at Batangas State. Under the K-12 program, there are 4 strands, but we are offering only 1 strand, that is STEM strand, to support our engineering program. Now, these mandates of the university, these are highlights of our mandate. Why did I present this before PASE? There are many mandates here which I think can involve PASE. In some of the programs here, some of the mandates here, I think this can be productively delivered by Batangas State by joining our PASE members so that we can better serve the country. I'm on my last slide, maybe. Okay. Under the mandates of Batangas State University, the mandate of Batangas State University is dominantly summarized by the NEED program, the National Engineering Education Development Program. It is a 6-component program. What's in the program? You know, there is no data now in the Philippines on the engineering portfolio of the entire country, of all HEIs in the country. There's no data. And we have to profile that, no? In terms of the faculty, in terms of the programs, in terms of the laboratory completeness, in terms of the infrastructure, and many other things. We don't have data. And under the newly approved NEED program, this is I think over 500 million peso program, and also endorsed by RDC. It was endorsed by the RDC, okay, by the Regional Development Council, to DBM, and to CHED. Now, that program, one component or one project is profiling engineering education in the Philippines. So next is strengthening the outcomes-based engineering education. Batangas State University shall spearhead and shall help other HEIs on really implementing outcomes-based in their curriculum. Third component is accelerating engineering program accreditation. Even other programs are not accredited now under global accreditation standards. So we commit to help them. Component 4 is re-engineering the engineering curriculum. The question now is, how relevant is the curricula of all engineering programs in the Philippines, of all schools in the Philippines? So we don't have the data also. Fifth is ensuring engineering faculty excellence. We believe that it is our human resource, our manpower in engineering. So we have to really check on the qualifications of our faculty, if they really qualified to teach civil engineering, teach electrical engineering, and other programs, emerging programs considering. Last is enhancing research collaboration in engineering. We have maybe different individual research in our universities. Some are funded by the UST, DTI, and other funding agencies. But we really have to collaborate. Nobody is monitoring whether these researchers are being duplicated by other state university. So there has to be a support that we can monitor. Maybe we can do that with the UST or other, let's say, CHED, to really see how we can make this state universities or even private HCIs to do more collaborative research. And I think our position now in the National Innovation Council with Professor Giselle would help us really. Tomorrow is our supposed to be OTK with Prof. Giselle. No. But I accepted this engagement with Pres Mario since February. No. And I hope that really this new role will really help our HEIs, specifically HUCs, on R&D to help boost innovation ecosystem in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ronquillo, for the amazing overview. Yes, so we do have some questions.
I love to.
Yes. We have one question from Dr. Silverio Carelon. How is Batangas State University addressing the energy needs of the country?
Okay. Now, in our engineering, we have different research, even thesis of students, even research under the R&D department. A number of our research is addressing energy. Many research are on alternative energy resources, and maybe we have contributed to some extent. But I think with the new mandate, we should focus our intervention in this area. As energy, as we all know, may be having different sources. We have just opened our energy engineering, that is Master's in Energy Engineering, and that is also a track under electrical engineering. Many of our students are pursuing research or R&D on alternative energy. But it must be quantified. We must admit that maybe year in, year out, we should be able to quantify based on our research trust how much was delivered under this particular research trust. So we are doing research already on alternative energy. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you for that very nice presentation. It's impressive the mental what's the word, the abilities of the Philippines, but how, and it seems like you're doing a great job in terms of channeling that and marshaling that. So what about, getting it to the next, and if we're focusing on biotechnology, for example, is there significant amounts of venture capital, et cetera, in the Philippines that can help your startups go to become full-fledged companies?
I'm happy to say that in recent years, not only Batangas State, even other HEIs, I think even CHED has particular memorandum order to include technopreneurship in our curriculum. And in some of the trainings that we had attended, and even co-sponsored by CHED, by Philippine Development Foundation, we had this opportunity for the development of our startups. And there are a number of angel investors really supporting the startup ideas of our students. I think CHED in recent years or in previous years have identified a number of state universities and colleges as well as private HEIs in boosting their technopreneurship program. And many of them, or a number of them, were sent even to Silicon Valley to observe how guys are doing their startups there. And there are some efforts to even provide for funds. In fact, Batangas State University was given by the Commission on Higher Education some funds, and even given by the OST some funds to spearhead this startup innovation ecosystem boosting in Southern Tagalog. We are leading a number of HEIs, private and state, to teach them on entrepreneurship and empowering them to be a startup. And we're also helping them to usher them to different venture capitalists. Thank you.
First of all, congratulations on this massive success in engineering in Batangas. I only know Batangas for the beaches. I didn't know that you
It's Marisañas from the cell.
I didn't know that you are spearheading engineering in the country. How do you pay for all of these programs? There seems to be like a huge number of programs, a huge number of acronyms to begin with. How do you pay for that, for all of those? And what is the budget?
In a broader sense, it should start really with the vision. The leader must be laser focused on its vision. After the vision is leadership. There has to be a strong leadership. But it must not be a strategic plan only. It must be realistic. Next is strategy. Maybe your question is how to get funds from the mouth of the snakes, no? How to get funds from the mouth of the monsters. Uh, as I have mentioned, our Board of Regents approved 500 million need program. But that is not only from Batangas State. We Through our leadership, we sought the endorsement of Regional Development Council, and we were successful. Just last June 8, this NEED program, and even our 5-year development program, we are mandated by law that after 120 days of its enactment, we should be able to submit our 5-year development plan to DBM and CHED. And prior to submission, we strategically sought the Regional Development Council endorsement. It is now endorsed to DBM, and it is, of course, through strategically lobbying in Congress. Just to have your program with personality, it is approved by the board, endorsed by RDC, and you can easily get funds from it. May not be easily, no? It's about how you communicate your vision, how you communicate your program, the importance of your program. You know, I always say, money must be our least concern. Money is everywhere. It so happened that it's not in our table now. It must be the idea, but if you have the idea and you can articulate your idea, maybe it will magnetize money. So it's all about strategy on how you should communicate and articulate your vision. We have proven that in the past 8 years at Batangas State University. And I think the strategy that we're doing really is effective. You have to communicate well. Maybe my coming here is a way of communication before you great men, Filipino, American, working here, so that we can realize this vision for our country. Thank you. Maybe more.
Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Salamat po.
I just wanted to find out, so when you said that you started niching your campuses, I thought that, oh my God, how were you able to do it? How were you able to communicate to them, right? I would think they're very proud of what they can do and to be able to say, oh no, let's give it to that guy. How were you able to do it? How were you able to give them buy-in that this strategy will work? How were you able to communicate that we're all in this together?
Niching is a very sexy word. It's easier said than done.
Yes.
You know, just to share with you, there are even state university presidents who were not renewed because of niching, because it affected the tenure or placement of faculty in different campuses. Let's say, for example, one program, you saw that it's not fitted there, you will transfer it to other campus. Okay. In Batangas State University, we did it strategically. It's gradual. Let's say, for example, technology program must not be in Rosario. It must be in Alangilan campus. So do not bring everything to Alangilan. You gradually close the program. Gradual. Let's say technology. And let's say, for example, you just make the second year continue until they graduate, but you will no longer accept first year. So that it will not hurt those faculty members who are teaching technology programs. So also we have options for our faculty. Where do you live? Where campus are you near? So that we can transfer you there. So we are giving that options to our faculty. It's not easy to implement niching. I mentioned that other associate presidents sacrificed their second term because the community get angry with them. Let's say, for example, just to give you a specific case, engineering in one state university is a big college, so it was transferred to other campus. Even the tricycle drivers were complaining. They don't have passengers now. Even the boarding house owners are complaining. So why did you transfer the student? So they went to the mayor, congressman, so the president was not renewed. So do not make it abrupt, so make it strategically. That's just one.
We need to analyze some questions later.
Yeah.
To President.
Thank you. Thank you.
Technical conference convener Dr. Tina
Severino and Pino, and Bassett, VP, Gladys, and together with, of course, our Bassett President Mario Santo Domingo to award the plaque of appreciation to the Professor, sorry, to President Ronquillo.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. On behalf of the Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering, or PAASE, we are proud to award this plaque of appreciation to President Tirso Ronquillo, PhD, President of the Batangas State University, the National Engineering University, for sharing his invaluable knowledge, his expertise, and his vision and promise about the engineering education and engineering in the Philippines. Given this 43rd Annual Philippine American Academy of Science and Engineering Meeting and Symposium, Orlando, Florida, June 29, 2023. Thank you, sir.
I am humbled to receive the recognition and appreciation from Paz. So because of this club, I missed the oath-taking ceremony in Malacanang. Anyway, I'm proud and I'm happy to be with you. And hopefully, soon he will be at Batangas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So we're gonna have a break?
Yeah, I think you want to make very inspired. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So good morning again, and magandang gabi to our people, colleagues joining us from the Philippines via Zoom. So I'm Rosie Simon, and I have the honor of serving as a moderator for this event, for the segment of our program, the Severino and Paz Koh Lectureship Awards in Science. So I first joined PASE in 2007 after I was nominated by my Philippine Science High School friend, Dr. Ray Bea, as a member. And I've been very slow. I have attended my first PASE meeting in 2017, so 10 years after I was a member, upon prodding of Dr. Seville Datera Wadley and Dr. Senyo Tigno. And I came out of this meeting really very impressed by the dedication, commitment, vision, and achievements of our members. Last year, I had the honor of being selected for the Severino and Paz Koh Lectureship Award upon being nominated by my good friend, academician Giselle Concepcion, and my former PhD student, Michael Villarde. So during that time, prior to receiving my award, I started looking, researching about Dr. Severino Koh, and I was very impressed again by his commitment, dedication, vision, and leadership in promoting Philippine science. So to introduce Dr. Koh to us and to all those who have not met him personally, and I regret that I have not had the opportunity to meet him, Dr. Koh is the founder of the founding president of PASE 43 years ago. In 2001, in 2000, during the annual meeting of the PASE at Manila Shangri-La Hotel, he initiated the Founders Lectureships Award in Science and Engineering. And the purpose of the award is to recognize the outstanding scientific and technological accomplishment of PASE members. A committee selects the recipient of the award from nominations submitted by you guys, the PASE members. The awardee delivers a lecture of the PASE annual meeting and is presented a plaque of recognition and a check of $1,000. Dr. Koh and his wife, Paz, donated the seed money to the program. And since year 2000, we have selected the founders lecturers who are honored at each annual meeting. Dr. Koh passed away in 2004, and then the PASE members at the time unanimously agreed to rename the awards as the Severino and Paz Koh Lectureship Awards in Science and Engineering to honor Koh's longtime dedication and support of PASE.
Dr. Koh is a native of the Philippines, earned his bachelor's degree in 1950 in meteorology from New York University and another in mechanical engineering from National University in Manila in 1952. He moved to New York City in 1954, earned a master's degree in engineering mechanics from Penn State University in 1957, and then a doctorate in engineering sciences in 1962 from Purdue University. He was the founder and associate dean of the University of Maryland, Baltimore, and again, as I've mentioned, the founding member of Paz. So for this year's awardees, there were 3 members of the selection committee, Dr. Arnel Salvador from the UP National Institute of Physics, Dr. Jus Santos from George Washington University, and myself. And I'm very pleased to have, we have selected the best outstanding awardees for this year. So I would like to request Dr. Completo Gladys to introduce the awardee.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening to those in the Philippines. So I am pleased to introduce to you today our awardee, Dr. Ann P. Villalobos, for the highly esteemed Koh Lectureship Award for Science. So Anne is the best choice for this award because of her outstanding contribution and impact on the field of chemistry, not just in the USA, but also in the Philippines. So Anne is a multi-awarded and well-respected scientist with expertise in biopharmaceuticals, from laboratory to market. She worked at Janssen Pharmaceutical Companies of Johnson & Johnson, USA. She rose the ranks of technical ladder from scientist to senior scientist to principal scientist and ultimately to research fellow, a very prestigious position within the span of 10 years. Anne has demonstrated key scientific leadership to cross-functional drug development, teams and licensing units, development strategies and process modeling, including validation to demonstrate the safety of the drug, technology transfer, key authorship in regulatory submissions, technical expert lead to face-to-face meetings with US and EU regulatory agencies. Anne was a technical expert lead in an important biotech drug, Aprex, of Johnson & Johnson. Aprex saves lives and is approved and marketed worldwide for anemia due to chronic renal failure, chemotherapy in cancer patients, AIDS, and autologous donation for peri-surgery. She improved a critical purification process step for the active product ingredient. She had this approved by the regulatory agencies where Aprex is marketed, resulting in significant savings without any infrastructure requirements. For this important business outcome for the safety, efficacy, and quality of the drug, Anne received the Johnson & Johnson Standards of Leadership Award, the highest award Johnson & Johnson grants. After all these accomplishments, in 2012, Anne opted for an early retirement from Johnson & Johnson to give back to the Philippines under the DOST Balik Scientist Program, hosted by the Central Mindanao University, the Philippine FDA, and Cagayan State University, with projects involving capability, technical capacity building, biodiversity, drug discovery and development, drug regulatory guidelines for herbal drugs, classic drugs, biologics, and vaccines and biotech drugs, research-based extension work for sustainable livelihood of farmers and Mindanao indigenous peoples, and work to link academe and industry, as well as partnership with U.S. institutions. She continues to be a scientist at CMU and supports the Philippine FDA. For me, this is her greatest achievement. After being a very successful scientist in the USA and earning a lot of money, still up to now, she decided to give back to the Philippines. She could just decide, she should have just rested, right? And decided to enjoy her life. But instead, she decided to give back. And up to now, she's still giving back. She's been donating every year to PAASE, and not just to PAASE, to CMU, and even to young elementary kids. She donates microscopes every year. Every time she comes back here in the US, her purpose is not to rest, but to go shopping, not shopping for clothes or shoes, but shopping for microscopes, to give back to these Filipino kids who has no opportunity to work on, to touch a microscope. So for me, that's the reason why I nominated Anne for this award. And because of this accomplishment and efforts, Dr. Anne Villalobos has earned this. For me, she really deserves this 2023 Lectureship Award and the respect and gratitude of those for whom and with whom Anne serves. As one of those peers from whom Anne has inspired and motivated to help improve SNT in the Philippines, I would like to welcome Dr. Anne Villalobos. Let us all give her a warm applause. Dr. Anne Villalobos.
Good morning and good evening in the Philippines. First of all, I would like to thank PAASE for giving me this Severino and Paz Koh Award, a Lectureship Award for Science. It's really an honor for me. So I will share with you my contributions on biotech drug industry at Johnson Pharmaceutical companies of Johnson & Johnson. And later on the contributions I have after giving back to the Philippines since 2012 under the Balik Scientist program. It started as short term, so I travel to the Philippines like 3 to 4 times a year, and then I just come back here to have a break. But still with a lot of work because of the time difference, so we're working like 24 hours. So let me start with, I do this. I'm not familiar with your battery is running low.
You have the charger.
How do I move from one? Oh, this is it. Okay.
Either this or that button.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry for that. So let me start with the long and winding road of drug development, from drug discovery to development, and then to approval if it really works well. You have to pass the quality, safety, and efficacy in order to be approved by regulatory agencies and naturally for marketing. So it's a long and winding road. Now, from drug discovery to development, that's a big decision that a sponsor has to make. First of all, to go from drug discovery to development, the sponsor needs to commit the best scientists, engineers, quality people into into delivering business results so that a go, no-go decisions can be made all the time. And then at the same time, at the right side of the slide, you can see that the activities going on in development are overlapping. You cannot just do it one at a time. They are overlapping because there is a big race to deliver the drug to the market. especially for the patients. And second, and also important, development is very expensive. And for this, I would like to show to you how biopharmaceuticals are made. This is a model that is being followed by many companies. Now, my participation, active participation in this model is in the green arrow, wherein we have to design bioreactive process, develop purification process that's already in developing the production, starting from small scale in the lab, and then you scale it up when it's successful, you develop it in a way. Even at the beginning, even if it's still in drug discovery, we're already moving into that. So my group works with drug discovery. We are tangent with that, and then we move it forward, sponsor it into bigger development and so on. And naturally, we have to work closely with analytical development groups that could be in another company of Johnson & Johnson. And then also with clinical group, because we have to supply the product that they have to use for clinical. Naturally, there are a lot of indications that we have to show that the quality is there, reproducibility, and so on. And then later on, I'll talk more about how my career was developed in Johnson & Johnson in that participation in that part of the model. So let me start with EPREX. I will concentrate my talk on EPREX because it is very close to my heart. I really supported that for many years. This is the structure of the active ingredient for EPREX, EPO. The polypeptide core is very small. It's only 30 kilodalton with 4 antiparallel that you can see there. Helical structures with hydrophobic groups. I wanted to emphasize that hydrophobic groups. The polypeptide core is hydrophobic. The glycan is there, directing the structure to make it functional. And then because it's highly glycosylated, 40%. So the total molecular weight of that is about 42 kilodalton. And EPO is a growth factor that binds to its receptor in the bone marrow cells, triggering a signal transduction for erythropoiesis, leading to proliferation of cells and subsequently differentiation and maturation of the cells as red blood cells, as you can see in the right side bottom part of the slide. And because of that, EPREX is a blockbuster drug. It is approved for anemia due to chronic renal failure or CRF. I'll be talking more about CRF later on. Anemia due to cancer, due to AIDS, peri-surgery, and the really functional confirmation for efficacy here is the cartoon structure at the right, wherein the antenna and the glycan structure of EPO are terminated by sialic acid. If that sialic acid is not there, it cannot survive in the circulation. If the galactose will be bare, it will be picked up by the liver cells and eliminated. So sialic acid in blue there is very important. So we put that as part of the release assays. So EPO is very potent. It requires only microgram amounts for a dose and very effective. So that means that EPO is known as arguably the most successful therapeutic application of recombinant DNA technology to date that is published in the New England Journal of Medicine. So EPREX, the active ingredient is recombinant human erythropoietin, is produced by the cell culture process and purified by the orthogonal approach. It's 4 chromatography steps for EPO. It involves ion exchange, reverse phase, size exclusion chromatography. And I will concentrate more on the second one, which is the reverse phase chromatography. In reverse phase chromatography, Lorna is here from Agilent. She knows that very well. So in reverse phase chromatography, this is the one that is complex and expensive. Why? Because of raw materials and also the operation. The operation is complex. So in this case, the polypeptide binds to the hydrophobic group in the surface of the resin. And when the critical concentration of the organic modifier is achieved, it elutes it out. It changes the phase of the protein to join the organic modifier and elute it out of the column. So think about that. And then this is the column 2 skid for the purification of EPA. It uses ethanol as the organic modifier. It's expensive and requires an explosion-proof facility. And for that, it really requires stringent monitoring of the process. Especially at the beginning, operators are afraid to be in that room whenever the purification is going on. I was wondering, no, it wouldn't explode. We just have an explosion-proof facility. Just in case there's an accident, the wall will just drop and everybody runs out. So that's the explosion-proof facility there. Now, the important thing here is the yield in the step of the purification process of EPO, the yield is slow. So I was asked to look into it and optimize column 2 with a yield increase of at least 10 to 15% and maintain the quality of the product. Those are required. Okay, as a person in purification, what will I do? I have to look at the chromatography traces because that's the footprint of purification. So this is an example. This is a good run. But when you take a look at it, you have the chromatography traces. So there are many parameters monitored here. So you have UV, you have pressure, you have temperature, you have conductivity, and so on. And EPO elutes at that point there. Now, during that purification, you have bubbles eluting out at the same time with EPO. So I can tell right away, okay, I can easily improve the packing of the column because more likely air is trapped in the interstices of the resin. So when the viscosity of the organic modifier increases as the gradient goes through, it sweeps out the air that is trapped in terms of microbubbles, and then at the same time, EPO is eluting at that time. So it could be that some of the EPO remains in the resin because the resin is not fully suspended. So you have to have a full suspension of the resin in order to really sweep the protein out of that column. It's already partially purified already in column 2, but yet the yield is slow. So chromatography traces, that's very critical. I reviewed so many chromatography traces. Okay, we can do it this way, like that. And we use 6 sigma also to look at the important parameters to optimize column 2. Now, the other thing that we have to do is to use small scale columns. So we cannot spend a lot of money using the material from the process. So we have from 1 centimeter diameter column to 10 centimeter, and then go if it works well, all the parameters are tested with so many statistics and so on. And then 2 larger scale, and then pilot scale. And in between those, a shift from one size of the column to the other, I have to present convincing documented data to the organization that this will work and the quality is maintained, the quality of the product is maintained, and even they have to audit our notebooks. And there are some legal people who review my notebook actually because of some lawsuits with other companies like that and so on. So you have to just deal with that. We are well trained being in the industry in documentation, because the company might miss something, an opportunity, because we didn't document it. That's why our notebooks are being audited by quality people. So that means that in development, it's not easy. You really have to follow many things. So this is column packing is improved. The bubble decreased a little bit, but the yield was not that good. We didn't meet that. So that means I have to go through other parameters, and naturally that should be the case. So 6 sigma, many other things, see to it that the resin is suspended, and then these are the parameters that we have to look at in order to really show that we have an improved process or an optimized column 2. So the last one that we included with the other things is the back pressure regulator post column. We have to plug at the bottom of the column in order to really suspend the resin all the time. So whenever the organic modifier concentration is reached, it will just sweep the protein out of the column. And then the chromatography trace is also very good. So we transferred it to manufacturing, technology transfer to manufacturing. That means we sponsor it. I have to go to the floor, rule. The manager will say, just follow Ann, whatever she says. So because the accountability is in our group, not in the manufacturing at that time. So we have 3 conformance lots. It's a type 2 variation. That means you have comparability studies approved by all the regulatory agencies that use EPRIC, where EPRIC is marketed. And the important thing is no infrastructure requirements, as what Gladys mentioned. That's very important. We didn't do anything in the infrastructure. So it's just like improving this one. You have back pressure regulator. The back pressure regulator was really critical in that part. Now, the yield increase with this is more than 100 million per year. So that's really a biggie for the company. And it resulted to the boost of my career, actually. Because I can solve this, I can solve that, and I never say no. Whenever I'm assigned something, I said, okay, then I will deal with my time. What's the schedule? And I'll negotiate with the schedule in my own terms. And we always deliver. And you know, in big companies like Johnson & Johnson, you have to be identified to deliver. Because next time there's a problem, they will ask you again. So you have a big tendency to really show off, not really show off because you have to deliver business results. But that's an opportunity. You can be a good scientist and so on, just like in drug discovery. You keep changing what is the subject like that and so on. When I interviewed in Johnson & Johnson, I was told by the executive director, do you know that in J&J we are marketing driven? You can have a hot project right now, and then there's a decision, it will be dropped. You have to pick up the pieces of your life again and collaborate in a way that you will be involved in another project. So I said, okay, I have no problem with that. I need a job. so I go to person, 24/7, a subject matter expert to API. Even at the middle of the night, I got calls from Puerto Rico. Now I am telling that the API is manufactured in Puerto Rico, and then they have a problem. I have to solve it right there. Naturally, I have to call my boss that this is what I am recommending. He's also a chemist, so we agreed and so on, and then I officially communicate everything, and I said, okay, tomorrow I will just write a memo why we decided that. And then when the product is already full, it's already purified and so on, everybody's happy. We saved like 40 million in that particular decision. So, and then expert lead and face-to-face meetings, as what Gladys mentioned, in the US and the EU, especially prior to phase 2 of the clinical trials. I usually join the regulatory and quality people for that. Traveled with the company president, the luxury of traveling with the company president, as technical arm in business meetings. He has big business meetings. Many of the company presidents in Johnson & Johnson are not scientists or engineers. They are very good in managing people, in delivering business like that, and so on. So quality overall summary, this is the last one, which I really put dear in my heart. I'm sure Lisa knows this very well. We're in, as a quality overall summary expert, you summarize everything, you critique for the submission. And this is the first time that we have in-house, because we usually hire somebody from Europe as a consultant to do the quality overall summary. And we have to deal with their schedule. It's very expensive. You have to pay like $1 million for one submission, and then it's delayed. Whereas if it is in-house, if the person is in-house, we can just control our time. And I was trained so well to be a QoS expert. They trained me first like that and so on. The QoS is the first document that is being reviewed by regulatory agencies. If they have questions on that, they go down the ladder because it's a big submission. But the one at the top is the QoS document. So the first time I have it, I was scared because I can be fired. You can be really good, and then one day you make a mistake, you can be fired. And it happened in many. So I was scared, and then up to that date, we know that we will hear from Europe for that submission. I was so scared. I didn't want to look at my email. And then the regulatory affairs told me, did you know that we already received? Oh, no, no, no. Then he said, there are no questions. It's the first time we did it that we didn't have questions. So it was in cloud 9 at that time. And then at the same time, we were doing optimization of column 2 before. We extended it to all the columns and extended it to cell culture, which is the production. And we have an increase to 2 to 3 times production. So I wouldn't tell you the money involved there, but and it's because of teamwork. Now we have all this good news we deliver businesses, so savings company and so on, but we also encounter problems, concern on our product, on the quality of our product. I'm sure you remember the PSA scare in Europe in the 90s. Okay. So because of this, because of the Korean disease and so on, Europe had a new guideline to remove all excipients in a product that is animal derived. So that was a dictation. So you have to obey that. And Johnson & Johnson was required to remove animal derived excipient in Eprex. Remember the human serum albumin, a stabilizer? Human serum albumin was removed to comply with the regulation and replace it with polysorbate 80, twin 80, which is the structure at the right side of the slide. We did a lot of, naturally formulation is involved, is the one handling this. Clinical PKPD, physicochemical characterization, stability and purity studies, comparison. No clinical studies, it's not required. And at the same time, in the US, this is only in Europe and outside of the US. In the US, HSA is still used because there is no BSA TSE in the US. So that's the condition right there. Now, like 2 years later, that was 1998, late 2000 to early 2001, we were getting reports because there is pharmacovigilance and so on, and we are active on our product. It's a blockbuster drug. So there's an EPO antibody-mediated pure red cell aplasia that's reported. So it's an unexplained loss of effect. It's not effective anymore, like 100%. Anemia, hemoglobin is impacted, positive EPO antibody test. So it's specific for EPO and for Eprex. So the incidence, there was a big investigation only in chronic renal failure patients. It's only in prefilled syringes because we have prefilled syringes, we have vials, we have coated, uncoated prefilled syringes, and only in subcutaneous, and that's expected for immunogenicity. Not to cancer patients. One can argue not to cancer patients because maybe some of those patients died already or whatever, but that was also investigated. So even if it's low, so you can see here the chronology at that first part of the PRCA. Introduced polysorbate 80 as stabilizer in 1998. Started to have some PRCA in 2000, 2001, peaked in 2002. Now, the formulation in US is still containing XSA and there is no incidence. It's only baseline. Now, increase in EPO-associated PRCA in the US. So that's the condition, but our main market is in Europe for CRF patients. So even though it's low, below 0.001% of the patient population, this is what changes said. Okay, we are not sure, but we have a concern that the quality of our product is involved. You have to have a full investigation. I have to drop my other project because I need to lead the API investigation and support of API to analytical, to formulation, and so on. So there were so many of us, the called back, the best scientists and engineers, mostly scientists. There were about 200 of us. Just looking at it every day, there's a meeting every hour. While your data is coming out of your instrument, the meeting is waiting for you to present the data. Sometimes I have no time to really digest the data, but you have to because we have time that's in there. So the investigation started, and this is the geographical distribution of uncoated stopper with polysorbate 80. And the Philippines is low. It could be, but that less people are using EPREX, or it's not being reported. The other one for Asia, Thailand is high, Singapore and Malaysia. Now in Thailand, that's highlighted because we discovered that they are doing something on EPREX that is not prescribed for EPREX. So I don't want to talk more about that. But we investigated everything. So the factors investigated, first of all, we developed new and more sensitive assays because somebody can argue because your assay is not sensitive enough or something like that. And we looked at the EPO molecule, everything there, and then possible adjuvants. So we looked at everything. And the quality of EPO with all these investigations and all the API retains from all these years, because they have retains because you have that. So investigated. The evidence shows that it could be the consequence of having polysorbate 80 as the stabilizer in EPREX. So the result of our technical investigation, I am proud that these tests were done in my lab using Agilent HPLC. Lorna. Yeah. So we never published our results before because of confidential. I have to sign a confidentiality agreement every 6 months in order to look at all the documents that really is related to our product like that. So, and also because of confidentiality and also because of proprietary factors. So we never publish. That's why for people in industry, you will see that their career for publication stop unless you do with other things that you can have it as a sideline, but we have no time to do sideline work in terms of this one. So, but anyway, the company awards you with many other things. They recognize you very well, like that. And within the organization, they really recognize people. That's what I'm really happy with J&J for that. So in this case, we have size exclusion chromatography because there was a publication that says that the polysorbate 80 is causing the aggregation of EPO and causing PRCA. That is he's a consultant of our competitor actually. And then we investigated it so well in our lab, so many times using UV monitor and light scattering. And then we collected samples using the automated fraction collector. And for them, they collect it manually because it's from the university. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that the universities are not doing automatic collection of fractions. But so we said that, okay, that's the polysorbate 80, that's not an aggregate of EPO. That's in there. And then we have EPO monomer intact, and then the salt peak, and so on. And that's proven. And actually, this group agreed with us later on because we meet them, because the product is at stake and so on. So you have to meet people and then show them, okay, you can visit our lab, like that, and so on. So this is part of it, that polysorbate 80 is not the cause, directly the cause of PRCA. Now here's the other one. This was also done in my lab for simple reasons. Okay, let's have the 18-month-old syringe, prefilled syringe, and then run it in HPLC. Because purification will give you the fingerprint of whatever is in the vial or in the syringe. So the one in blue, that is with coated stopper prefilled syringes, 18 months old also. The expiration of the product is 24 months. So that's a little bit older for this one. So for red, that's the EPREX syringe with rubber stopper, that means uncoated, for 18 months also. So there are many extra peaks. That means that polysorbate 80 is a detergent. So what it does is it washes the rubber stopper, and then leeches will be there and be injected unintentionally to some patients. And some patients, their immune response is very strong. That's why you have PRCA. So what did we do after that? So we have publications in there too. This is well referenced actually. And then we identified the late states. You can see them. We collected them one by one. Oh, my lab is really in full swing at that time. That's what I'm saying, that while it is coming out from the instrument, the meeting is already scheduled and I have to present what I test because we have to be fast. And then we also quantify them, these late states. And then in the quantification, the level passes the pharmacopoeia requirement. So that means that even in the initial switch from SSA to polysorbate 80, if this was done, it could not have been picked up because it just passed the pharmacopoeia requirements. But this time we have a problem. Okay, let's do it. Inject it to animals and see what it happens. And we have a dose response here. That this is really maybe the culprit for a PRCA. And the conclusion for technical investigations, the most probable cause of the product-specific increase is due to the leachates from uncoated stopper. Then the president of the company made a drastic decision. Okay, we have to remove all syringes from the market, uncoated stopper prefilled syringes in the market. And that was done quickly, a lot of logistics, so many things that happened. Reinstatement of EPREX subcutaneous, because that's the one, in CRF in March 2004, now with coated rubber stopper, because before that we have syringes with coated stopper, we have syringes with uncoated, it depends on the dose. So now everything is coated stopper and strict control of handling. So cold chain is part of the investigation. That was the first one that was implemented right away with a PRC investigation, because that's the one that you can follow up quickly. There are some stories wherein some patients in another country went to the drugstore, bought a prefilled syringe, put it in their back of the car, forgot about it, remember about it at night, and then still injected it because it's expensive. So they still use it because more likely they didn't like that and so on. So that could be another problem like that and so on. So and then new fluorotec coated stopper produced for SC and submitted for approval in the major markets for EPREX. So this is a big picture of the chronology of events of PRCA. We have from the beginning, polysorbate 80, 1996, and then we have after the investigation and so on, implementing everything, it went back to baseline. So we have that, and all the basic schedules and so on, and the fear that we might lose the product in the market and so on. Although for me, it was very low, 0.001. Even though we investigated the molecule, if it was the API, the incidence should be very high. It was very low, so that means something else, but we need to solve the problem. We were required with Johnson & Johnson to drop everything you do. You have to concentrate on this one. So after some time, I opted for an early retirement and then to give back to the Philippines, especially to Central Mindanao University in Bukidnon, because I joined CMU as instructor long ago after my BSchem. So fresh from my BSchem, I went to Bukidnon in 1976. Oh, Bukidnon at that time, you can malaria is very high, and so I didn't know where Bukidnon was. But anyway, my first objective is to establish a functional analytical lab. I'm in the lab. I'm good in the lab, so if there is no lab, I'm not alive. So it has to be, that's the first thing I need to do. And we have no instruments, so I brought instruments from the US, I donated them. I participate in auction online with all the pharmaceutical companies. I know who are there and so on. And also my instruments in the lab. I was allowed to bring them. So I brought them there, and then we established a lab there. I was given a hut, an old hut, nobody is using it. And then my requirement is only to put an air conditioner so that our instruments will be maintained. So we can hardly move around in the lab. But we were able to make a lot of projects out of that one. And then later on, we have CIBRIM, which is a Center for Biodiversity Research and Extension in Mindanao, funded by the IBAR. And then Natural Science Research Center, which is the lab arm of CIBRIM from CHED. And then the Natural Products Research and Development Center, that's CMU budget. So we have this facilities now, which is very active, and I'm proud to show you here that our lab has improved compared to that very small one in the old hut. And naturally, we have to produce something, right? Okay, the first thing I did was organizational. Training was our mantra. I have to train. These are biologists. He told me that we are biologists, we are not just in the lab, and we are field biologists. Come on, I can't train anybody. I train people in manufacturing in order to really transfer our technology there, and they are doing well. So one day, I have just arrived from the US, and they told me that they have a cell line that they purchased, and it's to arrive tomorrow, and they do not know how to handle it. So we have an emergency training, so that's why it's what it is at the right side there. We have an emergency training, and now they're doing well for the cell culture process and so on. So that's part of the capacity building. And I joined many of their mountain expeditions because we have to collect plants. Now, I really have a good time in this one because it's more relaxing and so on. I do not know what they are collecting sometimes, because especially if it's not in my project and so on. But it's fun. It's just like paradise in the mountains, actually, in the Philippines. And my first, the first project was funded by the APAR on the edible ferns. We have 10 edible ferns, and we collected them from the forest, propagated it in the university, and so on, and then test for many of the metabolites, proteins. I'm a protein person, so we have to include proteins there, other nutrients like minerals, and then we collect the fronds, which is the edible part of the plant, for cooking. And with that, we have a fern cooking contest participated by many. I wouldn't share the actual one. And then we produced a book on fern recipe book and propagation protocols. It includes the identification of the ferns, the propagation, and then the menu. There was a contest, so there were 28 menus, so they're included in this book. And also the chemistry of cooking ferns, that you have to maintain this particular consistency to make sure that those metabolites are still there, because they can easily be degraded by heat. So that's in that book. And many are still interested with that book. It's already a little bit old and published by the APAR, actually. And then we need an adapter to that edible ferns. So we identified the farmer cooperative in Lake Balinsasayao, which is a tourist area in Negros Oriental. And the goal here is to preserve biodiversity in the forest by establishing a fern garden as source of food, because this farmers cooperative has a cafeteria in that tourist area. So if the garden is just outside, they can even show it to the tourists, and they can have from garden to table fern. And they do not disturb the biodiversity in the forests of Lake Balinsasayao. That is the point there. And this is in collaboration with Dr. Eli Alcala, actually, and the late national scientist, Angel Alcala of Silliman University. He was so happy with what we have done in this community. And these are the farmers. We shared science, we shared cooking, and how to preserve the metabolites in ferns and how healthy it could be. So this was really, they are really happy to be involved in this one. And they also have a cooking contest here. And then the important part is Dr. Alcala, the Alcalas, got a grant from Negros Oriental LGU for this purpose. They even have IEC materials in their own language. So anybody can understand and adapt it as backyard gardening or whatever, or additional income for money, and preserve biodiversity in the forest. They do not have to go to the forest to get those plants anymore. So, and then the second one that I'm involved is there was a call from PICARD regarding minimum use of pesticides, inorganic pesticides in agriculture. Because it compromised the health of people, and then at the same time of the environment, pollution in the environment. So for us, we looked at the diseases of tomatoes and lettuce, because bukidnon is a vegetable basket of Mindanao. So those are common vegetables there. And our approach is to have potential source of natural fungicide in this case, to be indigenous plants. And based on extensive literature review and focus group discussion with the indigenous people, we knew what they are using in their farm. So we selected 10 and then collected them in different places in Mindanao. You can see that in the map. And for me, being from industry, I need to have to see that it will work in the field. Because you can have good data in the lab, but if it doesn't work in the field, it can easily be degraded and so on. What? There's nothing to develop. So the field testing is included as part of our screening for those 10 plants, and we selected 2, a grass and a shrub. Naturally, we choose the shrub, because for a grass, you have to plant hectares of that grass in order to develop the product. For a shrub, you can have like that. And that shrub is a go-to medicine of the Talandigs in Mount Kitanglad, actually. So that's another part that we have to look at for medicine. So this one, we developed 1, formulated to 4, and selected 1 for all the other tests, because you cannot handle so many at the same time. You have to choose the best you have and go forward and have a product, rather than to have 4, and then you are confused how to interpret it and so on. So we have 1, and we have it as SCure, that's how we name it. It's Mania piperita with the excipient for formulation and so on. So we have field verification in large scale, adapted by Talandig at the foot of Talandig farmers at the foot of Mount Kitanglad in Bukidnon, Region 10. And in Mount Apple by the Manungo tribe, they are farmers. So they are doing farming, vegetable farming. So they do side-by-side study with whatever they are using at that time and the new one that we are proposing here. So that really works well. And the other one from Manungo tribe, that's at the foot of Mount Apple in Region 12. So we have Region 12 covered and Region 10 for this study. So we have field verification, and then we have cost of goods, 6 times cheaper than what they are using currently, which is the armory here. And then the ROI is also very high. So we are like business people doing ROI, cost of goods all the time, like that, and so on. And we also did metabolomics, UP Diliman, Department of Institute of Chem with the SKU, did all this, and we identified the functional group, did some in silico computer modeling to verify that the active ingredient binds to the enzyme present in those organisms causing the disease, and then we publish it in PJS, Philippine Journal of Science, and this is the package material that we have, that's SCure. It's efficacious, safe, specific, cheap, very cheap, because you just have to deal with water. And then we have environment friendly, locally available, it's stable up to 1 year, with exposure to heat, exposure to UV, like that, and field verified. So we have sought for partners to do large scale production, and so on. And the last project I wanted to show is the one in partnership with PAASE. This is the preservation of Mount Pantaron Range Island Paradise. The site of the studies in situ Tampod, Namnam, San Fernando, Bukidnon. It's at the topmost part of the mountain there, the highest in Pantaron Range, Mount Pantaron Range. You can see from the picture there, that's the only one that's high. I'm so short, but I'm taller than that one. So it's it's a beautiful area in San Fernando, Bukidnon, and actually this extension work for the indigenous people in Sitio Natampod is an offshoot. This is an offshoot of a research study funded by the UST, by SIBRIM, led by Dr. Amoroso. And the purpose of that is for biodiversity assessment and conservation in 3 municipalities, encompassing 3 municipalities in the Mount Pantaron Range, because the Mount Pantaron Range span from Agusan to Davao. The Bukidnon is in between, so in between San Fernando, encompassing San Fernando, Cabanglasan, and Malaybalay City. I guess Marge knows those sounds very well. And This area has high biodiversity value because of varied endemic flora and fauna. You can see it here. There are so many that can be made into ornamental, and it's also documented that the Taguahanons who are living there collect plants from the forest for their food and for having handicraft production. So all their materials are from this forest. But there is no record of having to propagate them to replenish what they took from the forest. So that's something that was found in that research. And also, they have started to use this forest for agriculture. Remember the Kaingin? And then there's already a concrete road passing through that mountain in the Sitio Natampon. So there are new settlers already in that area. And then over collection of ferns, you can see there, over collection of ferns, bamboo, abaca. They are all barefoot, so the first thing we did was to donate boots, actually. And then they collected pitcher plants, orchids, and many other things. So if this is left as it is, this flora and fauna will be lost and will be lost forever. So that's why the goal of this extension work with PAASE is to assist the indigenous people of Mount Pantaron Range to develop marketable and competitive handicrafts and propagate ornamental plants outside of the forest found in the locality. Importantly, to conserve and protect the remaining biodiversity in the area. And this is what we did. A training workshop led by Dr. Amoroso on indigenous people at Sitio Natampon. We started with a workshop at below the mountain. That's Barangay Namnam. That sitio belongs to Barangay Namnam. So we did the workshop initially in Barangay Namnam. That's why you can see chairs there. When you go to the mountain, there's nothing there. You sit in a wood wherein I wonder why is it smelling, and then I saw that some of the goats are inhabiting there. But anyway, that's not the experience we have. And then the indigenous people built a nursery in order to collect plants, important plants from the forest with the guidance of the Simpren people, and plant it and propagate in the nursery. So this is funded by PAASE. And then we have pictures there, and then naturally we also give them something. And we communicated with the women who do all the handicraft making from the raw materials coming from the farms. There are some unique bamboo that we use, rattan, and you can see their PAASE, and they can do that in 30 minutes, like that. So they can design whatever you want. And they show it to us, everything that they have, and then where it is coming from, and then what are the other uses that we do for those plants. And so there are some medicinal, they use it as a dye, they use it as an adhesive. And I was telling them, observing them how they process it, that maybe we can improve like that and so on. And we have trainings with the UST, IPPRI for that one. So it's a lot of experience that we have encountered with them and talking to them. And last December, there was a friend, a donor from Valencia City, who gave us 25 sacks of rice. And we gave it to these people, and sacks and sacks of used clothes. So we divided them in the university. One room is preoccupied there, and we added noodles and sardines. So they have something in addition to rice. So this is how it looked like at that time. It was raining actually, and they were falling in line here. And then I was wondering why it took a long time for them to finish. And then the research assistant said, "Mom, only one can write." So they're waiting in line and saying their names, one writes, because we need to put it. We have to, we can be audited on our expenses and so on. So we have the names, and it broke my heart the first time I saw them in a way that they do not know how to read. And I said, are there still Filipinos who do not know how to read and write? And then there are 13-year-old. We started elementary school. And then 13-year-old will be grade 1. They're in grade 3 right now. those are 16, and some with 7-year-old and so on. So you can imagine how painful it is that there are still some countrymen who still couldn't read and write, but they are happy with those rice and clothes, used clothes, and so on. So with all this activities, projects, and so on, we always think of the people who can benefit and so on. So I would like to quote Albert Einstein, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile." And thank you for listening. And I would like to thank this for supporting all the projects that we have conducted all throughout. Thank you.
Very inspiring. I tell you, every time I come out of a PASE meeting, I come more inspired. And this is really a very inspiring
You have to join us.
Yes.
I invite you to join us in Mindanao.
I'm retiring at the end of the year. So yes. So we are open for questions. I'm sure you have a lot of questions for Dr. Villalobos.
So my one is the community engagement. So how did you get this started in terms of a buy-in, right? Because you said these are just things that they got from the forest. It was readily available to them. So how did you convince them that it would be to their benefit?
Actually, those people are very accommodating.
Okay.
They're very accommodating, and in research, we have budget for research aid from the locality. So some of them are trained to be, how do you call that, local aides. They are local aides, and then you become close to them because they're telling you stories. We have big projects there also with from other researchers from foreign countries, and they are excited to share what they have in the forest. So they are accommodating. They are very open. They are so happy with little things like that. So every time we go there, we bring bread, we bring tea. Oh, first time I went there, I was in a hurry because usually I'm the one preparing for food whenever we go there. And then I didn't have time. I said, okay, we do not need to bring a plastic glass or a plastic container for the juice. So we just bought canned juice. It's their first time to see canned juice. So they collected those cans like that and so on. I feel so sad when I heard about it. And then the thing that you can see is we are having, like in the nursery, so we are there, we are having lunch already at that time. And here comes all the children coming close to us. That means somebody called their children. And the father or the mother is dividing their food and putting it below the fence to give it to those children. So when I saw that, I said, I don't need to eat. When we go home, I can have another set of food like that. So I volunteer my food. The other researchers volunteer their food also. Because you can say they are hungry. Because if they depend only on the forest, and the worst thing is they are not recognized by the Philippine government. So they do not receive this 4 Ps that's supposed to be. That's why we are trying to have them have an association for them to be recognized.
So I'm actually reminded by Dr. Luli Cruz's work with the ATAS. I just very, she was working with that and did the same. I was had the opportunity to follow her at the time for a short period of time, and she was just, these are the same experiences. And I'm glad that we are expanding it to other parts of the
And there are many more. That's just one community.
Thank you for a very nice subject. And thank you for showing the kid now. It's hard to retire there.
Yes, it's paradise there.
I have to tell you though, when I was in high school, I worked one of the founders retired from the New Wellness Hospital. The hospital donates the medicine, and we go every weekend to at least 30 different towns and just give out medicine to people for free because they don't have any means to doctors, right? And they don't have, we were the only connection, and they paid us with kamote. So I have to go to kamote or give us their chicken, but which is a luxury for us, but it's true.
We do have a question.
Okay.
The drug development is a very expensive process. It's very expensive. But then it's that you also help in that decreasing the cost, the savings that were generated. But does it ever get passed on to decreasing prices into drugs?
Yeah, that's not my that's not my part. But the thing is, before a drug is approved, there's already negotiation with regulatory agencies in terms of cost of the drug. In terms of that, it's mainly for the company and so on. But it's good to know that we can do that, especially for me. It's a personal satisfaction at the same time that whatever we do works and it's consistent. It's been, if you wanted it, if you wanted to introduce it in manufacturing, it has to be really working well, or else you can be fired right there. They recognize you and they will fire you too. So that's something that, and every time I go for presentation to a regulatory agency, when I come back, my colleagues would tell me, how are you doing? I said, I'm fine. I'm wondering why they're asking me, were you not scared? It's gradual. You learn things gradually. You have the confidence that you are not afraid. Because these are the regulatory agents, these are the people who can really decide on what is the fate of your entity, like that. But you just have to be, we are trained to be, just maintain that integrity. Whenever we have inspections, the US FDA is very strict. Very strict. Once they are at the door in Puerto Rico, there's a call to us that we have to take the plane right away to go to Puerto Rico because we are the technical support. If they cannot answer a question, I'm there. And then here comes this guy, and every time he sees me, so they put you here again? You cannot answer the question because you do not want it to be an observation. So you put the best people there. And we are trained how to answer it, do not talk too much. It's just like whenever you are driving, you are caught by a cop, keep quiet. Or else you will be given a lot of fines. If you are new with a cop, you will get fines. I said, so we are highly trained. So even in presentation, I have to practice a lot on the phone, in front of the people within our company, and so on before we do that. We already have criteria before we go there, whether we're successful or not. We are there, I'm sleeping because I'm so tired after the meeting. They're already celebrating in the US or something like that. So you are really trained. That's what I really like because you are trained to face that everything. So it's very satisfying.
My question is more of a, I guess, career advice question, and you probably talked about it a little. Like being on call 24/7 sounds really tiring and a recipe for burnout. Could you talk more about your time management?
On time management, we are given a lot of 24/7 gym. Within the company, and then there are instructors like that. And you do not need this voluntary. You are just, it depends on you to manage your time. You are given, like, for me, I negotiate time. I never say no, but I will negotiate for the schedule on my own terms. You cannot kill yourself. And what I do is before I leave the office every day, I update myself regarding our product. So the following day, I'm ready. So my boss will ask me, did you hear? Oh yeah, this is what they are doing and so on. So I appear to be really good because I prepared. Sometimes you will ask me, okay, we have this problem and so on, and I need to check the handbook of chemistry and physics. And I said, I think it's in this page. How did you know that? So it's just like you have to be prepared. You do extra work that is not required of you, just for personal satisfaction. And we are trained to be like that as Filipinos. Yeah, in the Philippines, from elementary and so on, we are trained to be the best of what we could be. My father always tells me, be the best janitor if you become a janitor. Be the best of whatever you can be. So I always remember that. I think we are all trained that way. It's in our gray matter. Yeah.
So I was
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, and then we'll follow with that. Yes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dardano. No, I was just wondering about your fungicide, the one that you presented in the bottle. So who is producing that? Actually, we are looking at some companies. And there are no Philippine companies. There are Philippine companies. These are all Philippine companies. Yeah, one is in the other is national. And it's run by our IP department already. We are just there as technical, the inventors. And there are 4 proprietary approvals for the project.
Have a question? Yes.
Yeah, Lisa, now I'm scared.
What was your toughest reaction?
For me, they're all friendly. I think how do you call this? They are like investigators. I'm sure they are trained to be, like you are a criminal, you sit down in there. They look at you like, we are prepared to that because in our training it's like that. But the investigator, they are there to catch you. That's our training. So don't talk too much. You answer only what they are requiring. So that's my experience, and I became friends to some of them because we met in the airport, in the plane, and so on. Somebody would just, so we have a problem there again. I said, no. I'm there for something else. Yeah, because the facility is in Puerto Rico. So when I traveled and I was in the plane with one of the FDA inspectors, he's not inspecting us at that time, but he met me at the plane. So we asked him, oh, so we have a problem? I said, no. I'm there for something else. So we become friends. They identify you because you never the manufacturing chemicals. But we have a lot of studies in our lab because we developed the program. So we presented, and when I say stable and so on, no. You would argue with me, no, you cannot say that word. Tell me what you did. And you decide that stable, and I have to decide. That's what the FDA inspector said. So I have good interactions. But I know they are very strict, more strict than European.
Yeah, we'll have you. Next questions is waiting for you.
I'm sorry.
Well, you were making the transition, I guess, when you were making a decision from being a superstar scientist and to becoming a philanthropic work in the Philippines. What was going through your mind when you were thinking of doing that? What was the plan?
Well, I've been philanthropic even when I was a student in the US. I was sending books from the department. I was a teaching assistant. And then after you use the books, you just pull it. And I asked the department to give me those books so I could send them to the Philippines. And the university even paid for the shipment, the university in the US. So I was sending books to the Philippines. So my philanthropic idea has already been, because I know how difficult it is in the Philippines, especially in Mindanao. So when I made the transition, my nieces were, some of them warned me, you're already well accomplished here, and then you are going there in the Philippines, what will you do? And you are doing natural products that you have no clue. That's what my niece said. I said, I can learn anything. Whatever it is, I learned. When I finished my postdoc, I didn't know anything about pharmaceutical industry. I was a neophyte. It was an entry-level position. I argued with my boss why I cannot reuse the column like that and so on. And then they said, and did you check whether there are leaks from your resume? There are leaks. He said, we always reuse columns. And in the industry, it's not. You have to check everything. Even containers, vials, like even in the lab, we have to look at lead states. We have to look at specific interactions. So it's a different type of animal. But in my transition to the Philippines, it was fine. It's just at the beginning, I keep talking in English because I'm used to and I forgot. And then I keep talking even with janitor and someone, and then I said, what did you say? And then I realized, oh, I am in another place. Like that. That is just a transition I have. Other than that, it's easy. You just learn. I learned from the botanist, I did the expedition, And there are times that I do not know how to point the mountains, but she's there that you can point. So there's a research assistant in front of me and another one at my back because I might fall like that. But it's a lot of fun because it's something new and it is relaxing for me. Maybe for the researchers. And then they tell me all the time because we have a research proposal, there are comments and so on, and they are as if it's the end for them. I said, okay, let's take a look at it. Oh, this is easy. I said, because I'm used to difficult in my job. This is easy. We have to do it one by one. Then answer it by one by one. Okay, let me do it. So they always say that, oh, we do not want to go because everything is easy. I know difficult for them because they are afraid. But you just have to instill in them that there is always a solution. And that's my attitude every day. When I started, I have no clue. But I am just lucky that I have a mentor. I was identified to be mentored. I was mentored up to date. Until now, actually, I was here the other day early. So I visited my former boss. He's in New Smyrna Beach. He retired here. We had good times. So very, really inspiring. We have to learn from it.
Dr. Gladys and Arsenio and Dr. Mario and Dr. Miranda who hold notes the check for Oh my gosh.
So because of her tremendous, efforts and extraordinary accomplishments, Dr. Ann Villalobos has earned this 2023 Severino and Paz Koh Lectureship Award for Science, and the respect and gratitude of those for whom and with whom Anne serves. Anne has inspired and motivated generations of students and scientists to help improve science and technology innovation ecosystem in the Philippines, particularly in the Mindanao region in Bukidnon. Thus, the PAAS's Severino and Paz Koh Lectureship Award for Science 2023 is bestowed upon her. Congratulations, Anne. Yeah. And of course, we have the $1,000 check. Yeah, congratulations. Congratulations. Anne was asked earlier about time management. Recently, she's been waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning because she's based in Pennsylvania to meet with our Taiwanese scientist counterparts, because she's right now creating some programs between Kaohsiung universities and Central Mindanao universities, and there are 5 of them. 5 universities. So thank you so much, Anne. She's the fastest shepherd for CMU. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. We will have like a 10-minute break. We have coffee, juice, water outside, and we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. I would also like to recognize the presence of a young Filipino-American professor from Brown University who came in last night, Dr. Melissa Palma. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you so much.
I believe we will connect through Zoom, right?
Yeah.
That's the
So I have.
Okay. Let me just practice.
Which Zoom link? It's this one, right?
Yes, I think so.
So if I do,
For the intro, I will share my slides.
And then are you on Zoom?
later it's just I'll do the last one.
There's 4 of us.
Just yes, so currently only have 1 hour and 30 minutes. So in total for the video class. So I think just now we'll proceed somewhere.
Is minted assistant professor and attending, where did he go? Attending his first PAS meeting. The rest for me. Getting some energy after that energetic talk by Giselle. All right. Okay. So. All right, so our next speaker, as I mentioned, is a brand new minted professor. We actually followed some tracks. He was at the University of Michigan as well, but many, many years after I was there. So he is an assistant professor in the Department of Chemistry at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. He completed his bachelor's in chemistry at Far Eastern University in 2005, a master's at Ateneo de Manila University in 2009, and then received his PhD in chemistry from the University of Connecticut in 2016. This Leia compatriot. He did his postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Michigan and completed it in 2019 and was awarded a prestigious NIH Pathway to Independence Fellowship while he was at the University of Utah in 2021. So his lab is focused on synthetic chemistry research, utilizing multidisciplinary approaches and concepts in organic chemistry and organometallic chemistry. And they're particularly interested in the rational design of transition metal catalysis, creative use of electrochemistry, using readily available materials to convert them into value-added products, such as pharmaceuticals, agrochemicals, and energy storing molecules. So without further ado, Dr. Christian A. Malapit to present electrosynthesis of the discovery of novel organic reactions.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I'm just going to connect my computer.
Because I'm long as sit here and give you the time. What, 15 minutes, I guess?
Thanks again for the wonderful introduction. I've never been introduced as long as that before. It's actually
Welcome
my
to
first
Pasay.
time. Thank you. It's actually my first time being here in Pasay. And, to tell you honestly, I've not heard about it before. I've only heard it about maybe 6-7 months ago when I was invited by the GradMap Philippines. This is a student-led organization, and I think PAASE has been providing funding to this wonderful organization as part of their advisory committee. And yeah, I've learned about PAASE, and I went through the website last month actually, and then I saw that there's this APAMS, which is like this event that's happening right now. And unfortunately, I saw that the submission to send an abstract already passed. But I still submitted an abstract regardless, because even though it's close, and they said I'll just wait for it. If nothing happens, then I'll do it again next year. So luckily, whoever responded to my abstract submission, thank you so much, and I am here today. So I am Christian Malapit, and I started my career as assistant professor in chemistry last year. In fact, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary earlier this month. And so I've been working in the area of organic chemistry. That's where I'm trained at during my PhD. And this is where my group is. We're at Northwestern University. It's about 10 miles away from downtown Chicago. So grad students in our university could actually live in downtown Chicago if they want to, or somewhere in between. And this was my group when we started in, I believe, April. This is when the laboratory started to open. I was fortunate to have 3 female graduate students and 1 postdoc arrived that time that actually joined my group before I moved to Northwestern. So that's really great. And this is our group, I think, the late last year, and this is how the group evolved in just a matter of 1 year. So I now have 7 graduate students, 2 postdoctoral scholars, and 5 undergraduate researchers. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary last month in a picnic where the weather in Chicago has been better compared to the previous months. And one thing that I really was passionate about when I started my career is to build the group, not only on the people, but like how we interact with each other. So building a culture is something that I really put a lot on, and I'm really, really passionate about mentorship. And so every quarter, which is like every 4 months, I ask my students to fill in a survey that basically provides me information how happy they are with their performance or the involvement in the group. I'm so happy that after 1 year, we received a score of 10 out of 10 with respect to basically how happy they are being part of my group. And so what I'm going to talk today is how we take advantage of organic chemistry and electrochemistry in order to discover new reactions. So we have been looking at a multidisciplinary kind of research that tackles challenging problems nowadays in the area of chemical synthesis. There's going to be a lot of focus on how we make these transformations very sustainable. And we're also working on an innovative project on the energy storage technology, wherein we're trying to put our expertise both in organic synthesis and electrochemistry, and how can we develop small organic molecules. This would be an organic-based redox active compound that could store energy, with perhaps be able to contribute to the United Nations quest in decarbonizing the electrical grid by 2050. But what I'm going to talk today is about reaction discovery, which is basically a project that we have in this particular category. So I always get to ask you the question, what does reaction discovery really mean? So you can actually think about as drug discovery, right? But we are basically focusing on the small molecules. We are really looking at how we utilize abundant chemical feedstock. We think about how to generate new knowledge, basically the approach of how we put this carbon, say, a bond together. We always think about what's the important bond to make that allows us to basically meet the needs of practitioners in chemical synthesis, organic materials. This could be polymeric compounds, agrochemicals, and into even more complex compounds such as pharmaceuticals. just in the context of medicinal chemistry, there's this recent review in Science where they talk about what are the inventions in organic chemistry, basically reaction discoveries in the last 50 years. So there's been a lot of improvements, how we are utilizing them today in order to make drug development more faster and easier, and what's next for the next 50 years. And this is actually where we are looking at. Can we basically cut a particular bond in our organic molecule and insert something? So if you think about it as if you have a particular natural product that contains CH1, and it would have so many CH bonds, how do we break one specific CH bond and put a new bond into it? So it's a holy grail challenge for us synthetic chemists in order to do that. So I always get the next question as, how do you know if a reaction discovery is important? Sometimes we don't, honestly. We could publish something in Science and no one really cares. Sometimes it's only the academic would care. But sometimes we think about what is the bond we are really forming. So usually we wanted to form bonds that the practitioners really wanted to create that usually they cannot do in an easy manner, or they can't even do at all. Or sometimes for pharmaceuticals, they wanted a bond, to create a bond wherein they can do it at a late stage. We called it a late stage functionalization. So you can think about in medicinal chemistry, you're gonna assay thousands of compounds. And I think it was discussed earlier how assays are being done. And then once you have a hit molecule, you would call that your lead pharmaceutical compound or API. And how could you diversify from there? Like how can I create 1,000 molecules from a hit compound? So we needed to do some sort of a late stage functionalization wherein can we break one bond and convert it to a lot of things in just one operation. So we're also interested with what bonds we're breaking. What starting materials are we using? Are these safe? Are these practical? Are these abundant? And most importantly, in the academic setting, we're really interested with the approach, because this is where usually the knowledge comes in. Are we creating a new knowledge that's going to be impactful not only to one reaction, but it's going to impact how synthetic chemists is going to think how we put bonds together? And so just to give you an example, there's this, not recent anymore, review on medicinal chemistry that talks about what are the 20 most used organic reactions in the development of medicinally relevant compounds. The first one is amide coupling, which I guess it's not surprising because of the abundance of carboxylics and acids and amines, and it's usually done in protecting carboxylic acids and amines. But it's worth noting to say the second one is the formation of a carbon-nitrogen bond, to be specific, aromatic CN bond. We call this in organic chemistry the Buchwald-Hartwig reaction. This is a palladium catalyzed reaction that allows us to construct an aromatic carbon-nitrogen bond, a bond that you can never do in any other way before it was discovered 25 years ago. Another bond-forming reaction that's really powerful is called a Suzuki reaction, which won the Nobel Prize in 2010. Suzuki reaction is a reaction that was discovered in 1960, and no one really cared actually when it was published, mainly because one of the reagents is not even commercial. But now there are thousands of compounds that you can actually use to make this carbon-carbon bond. So Suzuki shared this Nobel Prize with Heck, who actually moved to the Philippines after retiring, and Negishi, wherein they're basically utilizing a reaction that are quite similar because they all end up in forming this carbon-carbon bond. I guess what I really wanted to highlight here is the power of reaction discovery in today's world. That a reaction, for instance, such as a Buchwald-Hartwig amination, discovered 25 years ago, is now the second most used reaction in the development of drugs today. And so just to give you a little bit more examples of reaction discovery, I decided to just give you examples of my contributions in the last 10 years during my PhD studies and postdoctoral work. So at University of Connecticut, I work on discovering reactions for small heterocyclic compounds. Can we expand them into a larger compounds? Can we open them? Or can we just selectively functionalize something and utilize them, for instance, for our case, to develop novel inhibitors for serine hydrolases? I had the chance to be part of Boehringer Ingelheim because they funded my PhD studies. Thanks to them, I got to work on a project development wherein the task is, can we discover a reaction that can install a cyano group to a molecule without using cyanide, because it's a toxic reagent. So we were able to develop a new reaction and at the same time a new reagent We call it dimethylmalononitrile. It's a cyanidating reagent that does not release a cyanide ion. And this is now being used in a multi-kilogram pilot plant scale at Boehringer Ingelheim towards the development of this Alzheimer's disease drug. During my postdoctoral work, I get to work on organometallic catalysis. And in this case, the question is, can we discover a new reaction for carboxylic acids and derivatives? For the non-chemists in here, maybe you've done organic chemistry, sophomore organic chemistry in your undergrad, and you might remember 2 chapters in your textbook talking about carboxylic acids, right? And if you react carboxylic acid with, let's say, a nucleophile, let's say an amine, you'll get an amide. If you react it with an alcohol, you'll get an ester. So that's the traditional known reaction of carboxylic acid for over 100 years now. So what we wanted to do is discover a completely new reaction. Can we decarbonylate? So release the carbonyl group and create a carbon-carbon bond, carbon-nitrogen bond, carbon-sulfur, and so on, install that into an aromatic compound, just like this. These are the compounds. These are actually carboxylic acid-containing drugs. We pop off the carboxylic acid and install this fluorinated arene. We pop off the carboxylic acid to phenoxystat and install a CN bond. And we can also do the same thing for bexarotene, a carboxylic acid-containing drug. We pop the carboxylic acid and then convert it into CF2 compound. So this is how powerful it can be. So of course, when we started, we were just looking at carbon-carbon bond, but in the end, we were able to adopt similar approach. This is where the approach that's coming in into generating multiple bonds. So when we published this initial work in Nature in 2018, there were only about 3 or 4 papers in the area of what we now call decarboxylative cross-coupling during the time. And in a span of just 4 to 5 years, there are now about 500 publications that takes advantage of this kind of approach. So I guess this is just a testament of how powerful reaction discovery and how it could be utilized in the future later on. Towards the end of my postdoctoral work, I got to collaborate with the NSF Center for Synthetic Organic Electrochemistry. And to simplify things, what we wanted to do here is, can we use electricity to make a bond? Can we use electricity to selectively break a bond and selectively make a bond? So this is a technology, or I would say an idea that people have used in 1960s and 70s, but no one really cared because they cannot selectively do it. But now with the power of, let's say, catalysts, how we transform reactions, we can now selectively break something. We can now selectively form something that hopefully practitioners would want in the industry. So this is a completely new approach. We call it electro-organic synthesis, and my graduate student actually used ChatGPT and search what are the 20, I think what were the 5 most disruptive research in organic chemistry today, and electro-organic synthesis came up as one of those 5, and which I guess it's a testament that it's a really growing field and exciting, and I think pharmaceuticals are starting to adopt this electro-organic synthesis concept today. So what I'm going to focus on in the last, I don't know,
3 minutes.
a few minutes is to talk about a project that we're looking into this particular area. So of course, this is my team. We have several projects under this reaction discovery, and I just really wanted to focus on how can we convert a carbon-hydrogen bond into a carbon-nitrogen bond electrochemically. And so aryl amines are important in synthesis and in drug discovery, as you can see from these compounds here, coming from medicinal chemistry to natural products and organic materials. And as I've mentioned earlier, aryl amines are the second most created bonds in medicinal chemistry today. And so what we wanted to do is form CN bonds coming from a CH bond. And this is a task, or I would say a holy grail organic chemistry, mainly because how can we selectively do this? So basically the question is, let's say celecoxib is a drug. It has so many aromatic CH bonds. How can we choose which CH bond to convert it to a CN bond? Can we choose just one? That would be a very powerful reaction. And so in tradition, this is a nitration reaction which converts CH to CN. You'll get a mixture of ortho, meta, para because of the directing group. Another way to do it, which has been done in the last 10 years, is to do a photocatalytic reaction. But in this case, the selectivity could still be 1:1 or up to 19:1, which is great. So what we wanted to do is get inspiration from nature. Basically, can we adopt what we call this cation-pi interaction that exists in biology, right? But this interaction is only just to stabilize a particular complex, but not to form a bond. But there's this particular enzyme studied by David Britt from UC Davis, wherein they show that this particular enzyme, nitric oxide synthase, that there's actually a radical cation pi interaction that exists, and it undergoes what they call a charge transfer. So coming from this N plus pi interaction, can we develop an N plus radical pi interaction that can undergo transfer and hopefully subsequently form a CN bond? So that was like the thought process. And so Eva, who is a postdoc in my group, started to look at what are the N radicals or N plus radicals or N plus plus radicals that we could use. And by using this particular compound here, they're actually highly electrophilic. And so I'm just going to go right away. This is the mechanistic study and how it works, which would usually take us a lot how to understand. And what she found is that by using a particular aromatic compound and this particular nitrogen source, we could selectively form a CN bond at the ortho meta para position in a 32:1:1. And this is an unprecedented regioselectivity of doing a CH functionalization. So we collaborated with a group from Texas A&M to tell us which CH bond gets broken and functionalized. And they came up with a parameter called Fukui index, which is basically the most electron-rich carbon CH bond. That's basically where the CN bond goes. And this is true to all substrates that we use. So we can do late-stage functionalization of some drugs, convert these CH bonds in just one regioisomer into the CN bond products. You might be wondering how we set up reactions. These are new technologies being brought today in the last 3-4 years, denoting that electro-organic synthesis is a thing. So these are products from Merck and from other pharmaceutical companies. So we can set up multiple reactions in one. And so we discussed with Merck because they're actually interested in making arylamines. Specifically, they want to make piperazines. Can we convert our products into aromatic piperazines such as this? And my team of students actually started looking at how to create piperazine from this compound, because piperazine is the third mostly found heterocycle in FDA-approved drugs. And Merck has been working with us through a collaborative project on how can we expand this particular scope to make our diverse set of aryl piperazines. And I started with celecoxib earlier. I'm going to go and end here. So if we use celecoxib as our substrate, we could functionalize only one CH bond. It's this blue CH bond that can be converted into a variety of functionalized celecoxib. So it would be a very powerful tool to transform one drug into a multiple compounds of drugs for medicinal chemistry purposes. So our future work, we're looking at taking advantage of this new approach to make a various type of CN bonds, for example, anilines, isocyanates, that Dow is very much interested. We're using this technology to upcycle polystyrene. We're using this technology to functionalize selectively polypeptides, because we could actually selectively functionalize one CH bond in a phenylalanine amino acid, for instance. Before I end or thank my group, I just really wanted to promote something. So I've been working with JAX. So there's something upcoming. I believe it's going to be next month or two, wherein I will be featured in the cover page of JAX. And I brought an editorial, which basically talks about my journey as a Filipino scientist and how mentorship has impacted my career now as a new assistant professor in the US. So please watch out for this one. And of course, thank you all so much. I thank our funding and most importantly, the group who've done so much in just 1 year. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Inspiring already on your first year. So keep up the good work. Hope to see you more often in the Paz meetings, and not just in the meetings, but working with a lot of Filipino scientists as well. Okay, so our next speaker needs no introduction. She is our Vice President currently and President-elect, Dr. Gladys Cherisse Completo. So she received her BS Chemistry and MS in Agricultural Chemistry degrees at UP Los Baños And after teaching at the UP Institute of Chemistry, she initially started her graduate studies in organic chemistry at Ohio State University with Professor Todd Lowry, who later moved to the University of Alberta. Actually, the other speaker was supposed to be in this session was also from Todd Lowry's lab, but unfortunately couldn't make it. After obtaining her PhD, she joined the research group of Professor James Paulson as a postdoctoral fellow working in glycobiology, and then joined Michael Jung's lab at UCLA as a research scholar and an Elsevier Foundation Award recipient, where she did medicinal chemistry. And then Gladys subsequently returned to UPLB, where she is currently a professor in chemistry. Was also a visiting research professor with another past stalwart, Dr. Carlito Librila. So Librila's lab, we have a lot of collaborations with him, as well as students who are now in his lab. And so I could go on, but I think I'd like to listen to your talk. All right, so she's going to present Glycan analogs as probes of mycobacterial cell wall assembly.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was a long introduction.
Yes.
So let me just share my slide. So allow me to present. Actually, this is my pet project when I started here. Studied in UPLB. That was supported by my PhD. Okay. So I just like to focus on the project that I'm working on and still continuing, where we're trying to synthesize and design probes that will lead us to understand the how one portion of the mycobacterial cell wall is being synthesized. So let me just start with this number, 10 million. No, this is not my income. Okay. And then these, I wish this is the number of viewers of the Paz YouTube channel, but still in the wish list. But this is we have 10 million cases of TB last 2021, and last year it went up to 10.6 million. That's how many TB cases that we are experiencing. And statistics have shown that, okay, every second one person actually gets infected with TB. And second to COVID-19, it is the second leading cause of death from an infectious disease worldwide. And why is that? Why is it so difficult to treat TB? And it's because of the emergence of what you call the multi-drug resistant strains, and recently the extremely drug resistant strains, which are actually present worldwide now, and even Philippines is experiencing it. So let me just give you like some information of what's happening right now. And Philippines is one of the top 30 countries suffering from TB burden. We are suffering from TB which are people infected with TB that is HIV positive, and also patients that are exposed to the MDR TB. And just to give you also, to emphasize how important, okay, we study TB in the Philippines, because we are one of the top 7 countries suffering from, okay, the highest cases of MDR TB cases. So, and you know that up to now, there's still no vaccine for TB, and because the developed country they don't have problems in treating TB. So that's why I think the progress is really very slow when it comes to coming up with new drugs against TB. So again, aside from the existence of MDR TB, there is this zoonotic TB, which is caused by Mycobacterium bovis, which also belongs to the MTB complex family. And aside from that, there is what you call the reverse zoonotic TB, which is the transmission from humans to animals. And there are a lot of reports now in several animals, and recently there is this drug-resistant strain that was detected in a dog that came from the caretaker. So really there is this potential that these infected animals can be a source of MDR TB, and it can be reintroduced to humans and other animals. I hope I convinced you now that really we have to still work on tuberculosis. And what is the World Health Organization working on? They actually came up with this MTB strategy in 2015. and it's now 2025, and if you look at these values, the ones inside the circle are their milestone. You can see that they anticipated reduction of TB incidence rate by 50%, and in reality, we only had 10% reduction worldwide. And in terms of number of TB deaths, they were anticipating 75% reduction, but look at that, there's only 5.9% reduction. So they're actually really doing this. So the World Health Organization, they even came up with this holistic approach. And what I like about this approach is that they identified that for us to be able to solve, and the goal of the NTB strategy is to have zero cause of death due to TB. And these are a mix of biomedical and public health and socioeconomic interventions. And of course, the most important intervention is research and innovation. So that's how important it is. And let me just tell you why it's so difficult, even without the emergence of the MDR-TB. Why it's so difficult to treat TB is because of the highly impermeable nature of the mycobacterial cell wall, which is due to this complex composed of mycolic acids, arabinan, and galactan chain. So we're particularly interested in the galactan chain of this complex because it's responsible for the survival of the microorganism. And it's very interesting why, because it's composed of galactan. This galactan chain is composed of a unique structure. So we're usually used to sugars in its pyranose form, but here, galactose is in furanose form. And what's good about this is it's not present in human beings. So if we target this, it will be specific to the mycobacterial. Okay. And what made me happy when I was doing my research, because I was trying to come up with a proposal, the M. bovis and MTB have very similar cell wall structures. So if we target the galactan chain in MTB, then we can also target for M. bovis. So, and here's the biosynthetic pathway. I just want to, because of the limited time, I just want to focus that we're interested in the glycosyl transferases involved in the formation of the galactan chain. And one question that we might ask is, are these enzyme viable targets for drug action? Actually, the existing first-line anti-TB drug, isoniazid, already is known to inhibit the mycolic acid formation, which is part of that complex. And another drug, Completo, is also targeting the arabinans. But there's no known drug that targets the galactan chain. So, which is good because it will be a new mode of action, and also it will be mycobacterium specific. So that's the big picture of this project. Okay. And when we were starting on working on this, of course, before we can come up with an inhibitor of the enzyme, we need to study what's going on in the synthesis of the galactan chain. And so we tried to identify the different linkages present. So here you can see that there are 3 different linkages, beta-1,4, beta-1,5, and beta-1,6. So we thought that, so we came up with this hypothesis that maybe there are 3 or more glycosyl transferases involved in the formation of the galactan chain. Okay, and so because of that, we needed to synthesize all these oligosaccharides, representing disaccharide, longer oligosaccharides, and all of this with a linker unit. And just to summarize it, indeed we were able to identify that there are only 2 glycosyl transferases involved in the formation of the galactan chain. And these, in collaboration with another group, they were the ones that identified GLFT1, and these are enzyme GLFT2. So only 2 enzymes are involved. Okay. And of course, we had to just give you an example, because from the previous talk, synthesis, here if you're doing carbohydrate synthesis, it involves a lot of steps. There's a lot of protection and deprotection involved, and this is just a sample of one I'm making. And this one, right here it will take you 7 steps before you can make that, and then you just couple them, and then you protect, and then you have that disaccharide. So just one example. And then so because of that, we wanted to make more, and during the time, one-pot synthesis was so in. It was a hot topic when I was a graduate student, and so we ended up making the disaccharide with 41% overall yield. Yes, this is just the introduction, sorry. And then we do the radiochemical assay, and then we were able to do kinetics, and we were able to identify the good substrates for the enzyme. And then we do mass spec, and you can see here that it's actually working. This synthetic substrate is producing, with the introduction of the enzyme, we actually produce the longer oligosaccharides, and even not just the tetrasaccharide, but all the remaining longer oligosaccharides. And we also do NMR, of course, and what's interesting about this, we noticed that the anomeric protons, when the linkage is different, okay, we saw a trend. So instead of course, we have to do all the other 2D studies and carbon, NMR, but by just looking at, so let me just give you an example, the anomeric proton region, we can actually tell whether we're making the right compound. Because say, for example, here this is a trisaccharide, whereas the linkage is beta 1,5 and 1,6. Since it's alternating, we would expect the product to be 1,6, 1,5, 1,6. And you can see here from the anomeric protons that we're getting 2,1,6 and 1,5. So it's a simple way of checking whether we're getting the right compound by just looking at the proton NMR. So again, as I've told you, we were able to collaborate with another group, and we were doing this while I was synthesizing all of these oligosaccharides. And so we sent out these synthetic oligosaccharides, synthesis oligosaccharides, and they tested it, and you can see here, right? These are synthetic substrates, and you can see that it's not being recognized by our enzyme, but only the longer oligosaccharides where there are 2 GalF residues, 1 GLFT2 catalyzes the reaction. So clearly from these results, there is another GLFT, which was eventually discovered as the GLFT1. You can see here, that's the experiment showing that when it was GLFT1 that was introduced, we got the products. Okay, so far that's it. Okay, and then we have GLFT1 and GLFT2. Now the start of my academic career here in UPL's Baños, where we try to simplify. Sorry for that, is wrong. Okay. Anyways, so because we were able to synthesize this disaccharide, we wanted to simplify it. Can we simplify? Because we need multiple steps. Can we remove these hydroxymethyl groups, and can they still be recognized by the enzyme? So we ended up doing this where the reducing residue, the hydroxymethyl group was removed, and then in the other one, both of the hydroxymethyl groups were removed from the reducing and non-reducing end. And we did, I just want to share this, that it's really difficult to synthesize furanoses. We use several methods, and usually we encounter contamination of the pyranocytes. And we look at the literature, and we saw this with old paper where they made use of a very simple reagents, just iodine and methanol. So that is very doable in the Philippines, or you can use just, but of course you still have to make this dithioacetal. It makes use of the cyclization, and this just tips. So we have to make it work on it during the weekend or in the evening. And then we were able to, my students were able to do it, that we were able to produce the methyl galactopyranoside with just iodine and methanol, and that's the first paper that we produced here in the Philippines in Chimica. Okay, and during that time, I was asking my student, we need to be a little bit creative. Can we make this reaction much simpler? So we decided to do the reaction using TLC. Just by spotting our starting materials, can we make the reaction go without using flask, exposing with the nitrogen gas? And so this is the lane where this is the desired product. these are starting material and this is the reaction mixture. And you can see that there's no more starting material, and you can see this, the lactofuranoside. So these were done by my undergraduate students, and they were very happy about that. Although, as you can see, there are some hydrolysis byproducts here, but still, we didn't see any puranoside. And this was checked using LMR. So they were so happy with this. Okay, they won, like, in the presentations, they ended up, so they said, how about we do a large scale? So we even tried doing this using PrEP TLC, and we were able to successfully make the some of the galactofuranosides. That's just the methyl galactofuranosides. So because of that, we submitted this to my PhD advisor at the University of Alberta to check whether the RCD6 compounds can be recognized by GLFT2, and when they're doing this spectrophotometric assay, I was part of this when we were developing it, and by using Malapit, we were able to detect that this compound, we were able to get kinetics, and we were able to see all those. So if you notice, this really an analog now, where this hydroxymethyl group here originally was removed, and you can still see that we're getting the product. But when we tested the other one, so these are just the MS, the other one where both of the hydroxymethyl groups were absent, we were not able to see any activity. And so compound 2 is neither an inhibitor nor a substrate. But this is not, for me, this is not bad news. So we're learning something from it, and from there we can design new inhibitors. So, and we even did, can I just extend 5 minutes?
Yeah,
okay.
Just a warning.
So we did computational studies, and it turned out that for the enzyme to recognize the analogs, there has to be a distance, and the maximum distance for the hydrogen bonding is around 3.3. So that analog that we prepared, the hydrogen bonding distance was already 8 angstrom. So definitely it won't be recognized by the enzyme. So, but from that, we know that the hydromethoxy group in the penultimate residue is important. It's not essential, but this is essential. And based from this, we decide more compounds, okay? And we're hoping that this time this will have an activity. So we haven't published that yet. And then what's good about studying the GLFT2, because there's a crystal structure. So, and we collaborate with Ricky Nellis and Yuki Diliman, and we did some computational studies. And what we did was we tested all the existing, anti-TB drugs against this enzyme. And then it turned out that none of it, that's why there's no drug yet, because none of them are being recognized by GLFT2. We even tried existing natural products and some of our designed compounds, and then they did antitoxics. This is all in silico. We were only able to identify this one compound here that was reported when this was synthesized. It was supposed to be an inhibitor of one of the enzymes in that biosynthetic pathway. So this is the only one that was promising. But if you look at this is the pharmacophore that we were identified. So this is very important. Here the UTP portion is very important. This aromatic ridge is very important, and so on. The other groups here, I won't elaborate on more. And so if you look at the pathway, you can see that there are 2 enzymes, right? GLFT1 and GLFT2. So we've been working on GLFT2. Why not work on GLFT1? So that if you can inhibit right away the formation of this, then we can inhibit the formation of the Glycan chain. Okay, and so we did that, but one problem is, so we did this, my students did the synthesis, and we wanted to simplify because it's so difficult to synthesize here in the Philippines. So this is the natural substrate, and we, from my PhD studies, we made this, but we wanted to simplify it better, further, because in one paper, Kislin's group in Stanford said that this pyrophosphate is very important in the recognition of GLFT1. So we're thinking, And obviously, if you have pyrophosphate group, it's very, very difficult to synthesize here and there. Sorry, I'm in the US right now. Okay. So we wanted to simplify it further, and it turned out that this pyrophosphate group is not really important. So this is the first time that we were able to, our group was able to show that we can make it simpler. We can study GLFT1, and these are the compounds that my students synthesize. And we, if you can see, there's a lot of steps. Just believe me that it took them a long time to synthesize it. Okay, and then we also submitted them to University of Alberta, and you can see one of them is assumption. You were able to get longer oligosaccharides. But when we tested them with the other compounds, it turned out they are not being recognized also by GLFT1. So clearly there is, okay, so here, and here even this, we tried to incorporate a RIM, okay, to introduce 5-5 stacking, but it turned out that these compounds are also not inhibitors nor substrate of GLFT1. And why do we have to do that? Why are we not successful in doing this? Because not really successful. This is giving us something to start on, okay? Because we don't have this is just the biological assay evaluation. Because we don't, as I mentioned, there's no crystal structure. So what we did was we came up with a putative crystal structure of GLFT1 based on the using GLFT2. And we were able to get a homolog. So this just testing using AlphaFold, we're able to show that it's a good model to come up with a putative crystal structure of GLFT1. And you can see here we were able to identify the conservative DXD motif. There are only 2 DXD motifs present in GLFT1. And now we are also, this is for the important amino acid residue that's in GLFT2, but in GLFT1, these are the residues that are involved in the binding site. Now that we have this putative structure, then we can start designing again potential inhibitors of GLFT1. And these are just some more modeling studies that the student made. And so in summary, okay, now those fast. These are the probes that we synthesize, okay? And then we learned something from that the hydroxymethyl groups are really very important. And for the first time, we were able to demonstrate that the pyrophosphate group is not really important for the recognition of the enzyme GLFT1. So it will make it will be easier for us to synthesize and design some more compounds. So, and there are other enzymes actually involved in the synthesis of this mycoloid agent complex. There is one that's in clinical trial now where they came up with a compound that inhibits this step before even making the galactose chain. And it's now in the phase 2, I think, clinical trial. So far, that's the most successful one after so many years. So, yes. And let me just end by sharing with you what the World Health Organization is telling all the scientists. If the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that with solidarity, determination, innovation, and the equitable use of tools, we can overcome severe health threats. So let's apply those lessons to tuberculosis. It is time to put a stop to this long-time killer. Working together, we can end it. So I encourage collaborators, please help us come up with to design potential inhibitors. And I just want to thank my group. These are the people who work on this. And Michael is now almost graduating. He's almost finishing his PhD. He joined my PhD group also. He's in University of Alberta. He is now in McGill University in his 3rd year PhD. So these are my students. And most of them are now faculty members in UPLB. From a student, he is now my collaborator. And these are my collaborators. And I'd like to thank my PhD for my funding agency. And of course, that's not enough. So I have to use our other funds from the other funding agency, PICARI. And we have this very good collaborator, Paz Koh Pharma Corporation, that we use for the mask. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gladys. That was a really good talk. And hopefully we can hear TV. It's been around for a long, long time. I guess we have time for one question for each speaker. If there's any question, we don't want to get everybody starving.
Yeah.
If there's any, or you can talk with them at lunch. That was, we have one question.
I have a question for Dr. Concepcion. Yeah, I was just, this first time that I've really heard about moringa. I guess I'm not really very familiar with it. It's the tree of life.
Yes, malunggay.
Okay.
For breast milk as well, right?
Yeah. So I was just wondering whether you have tried using it for anti-aging. You will probably be very, you're in the stage, anti-aging. And also, I think that because of its effects on loss and all that stuff, maybe in bone metabolism, in osteoporosis and so these are some things that I'm using.
It all depends on your assay. So for bone metabolism, I don't know if we have an assay for it, then we can test it. But definitely, our assay is very powerful for oxidative stress. There are lots of cosmetic products already for anti-aging. Supposedly with the moringa extract as a component. I have developed some products, and I have moringa in them. But it's always a problem of the marketing. There's a new layer of marketing now. It's social media. It's very tough. Where you need influencers, you need endorsers. It's really tough. It's a different kind of
Yes. How available is MMM for the kids? So that bar.
It's not yet done. It's still in the prototype stage with the Gladys as a project leader.
Okay. Because I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's something that's available. Okay. And then the one, can I ask another question? So Chris and Gladys, do you feel that this is an actual collaboration potentially for you? For like synthesizing a product that will be part of like that was my thought process. You are here together, and that I feel that that's what APAMS is about, creating collaborations, and do you see yourself based on your expertise, right? Is there a brain cell that, oh yeah, that's, I mean, I was excited with Chris's how it was synthesized this guy, but he used that, right?
For the
It as a possibility for generating your
inhibitors
products, right? That will now be part of potential inhibitors for the pockets that you're seeing as important for your GLF.
Yeah, as long as it's willing.
Any type of reaction,
We need
Chris.
to collaborate and figure it out because up to now, so in North America, actually there are only two groups working on this. One is Kisley, Lord Kisley, she's in Stanford.
Okay.
And we've been really, really working, not working together. We've been checking our publications every time. And so far we haven't been successful yet. So definitely we need help. And I think the problem is because this enzyme is huge and the binding packet is so huge also. That's why it's a little bit difficult to really come up with a good inhibitor.
Okay. Maybe Chris will come up with
So we can just keep on trying all the synthesized compounds and try it in vitro. And then
yes. And certain Tirso's love.
Sorry, I stopped the Zoom.
Okay, one last question from Celia. Huh?
Yeah, I was just going to ask Giselle, this malunggay, this moringa, is that,
can we
there's all this culture about farm to table.
Just asking me to sign.
And would it be possible to plant it in the United States, say in your backyard?
Yeah, I have seeds.
I
have seeds. Yeah, there are seeds for it. I got some. You have to bring it in your house, Junior, in winter time. Otherwise, it dies.
Very strict plant. And it's also lactogenic, right? That is the traditional.
Yeah, there's some studies, but well, we didn't get the funding from the US NIH when we tried to submit the proposal with the pediatricians in the PGH. But we have some indication that it is a galactogenic or it's a galactogenic.
Okay, so at this time, we can continue the discussion over lunch because it's malunggay, you know. We can all think about it. It's good with tinola. But we have certificates of appreciation for our 3 speakers today. And I'm not going to read everything because they're all going to read the same way. But we really thank you for your grateful participation. This is to acknowledge you in sharing your expertise during the 2023 APAMS as an oral speaker. And this will be signed, of course, by our president, Dr. Mario Santo Domingo, and co-convener, Dr. Xenia Tigdo. And so this is, I guess it's going on to Christian. This is how your certificate looks like. And also for, so it's electronic now, but we will send you a printed one, especially with a nicely designed certificate. Okay, so thank you very much for all our speakers. Very inspiring from all levels of their careers. And so let's have good lunch and continue discussion.
That's the consensus. I'll send the for us, we have a culture, which is exactly. It's actually